Let's go ahead and find out. Red Flash of St. Francis and the Engineers of Rensselaer in Valorant in this series would go absolutely nuts because in the very first map, we got overtime, which the Red Flash would win. But in map number 2, there's a cipher for the Engineers that said, watch your flank, guys.
The lineup's online, and that's going to be quite the near miss, especially Doodle on 15 HP. Really got to make sure we're not going near it. And of course, the resurrection comes, but it's not going to be enough for SFU because Stevatron is going for it on the flank.
Hail Monkey Man and Crafe with you on the call. Stevatron with the 3-piece flank kill, which leads up to the map 2 win. And in map number 3, Stevatron gets another 3-piece, and that would be the game winner in another overtime as the Engineers get the series 2-1. Fisher Falcons and Mountain Cat throwing hands in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and the Falcons getting 2 great clips, and we're going to show you both. First, Sen and it's Riku playing Steve, who makes sure that whoever they face gets no room to breathe.
It's so good. All right, trying to walk up right there. But gotta be careful. Oh yeah, a couple of forward tilts. Oh, you don't know how to get out of this?
Someone please check in on Acoustics because it seems like he's running short on breath from that one. Meanwhile, let's go to the second set and second clip, which involves Mr. E on the Lucina and lives up to the saying that 2 is better than 1.
Past the wall, Lucina. Oh, there's a grab, and this is where it starts. Oh my goodness. Like I said, my man has a real combo. What an upbeat right there to get the stage spike. An aggressive play by Mr. E. Oh, yeah. I think it's got a little bit of combo game herself. Not a crazy amount. Usually just a 2-hitter quitter. Oh my God.
Again, somebody might want to check up on Acoustics and see if he's recovered from these clips. Acoustics and Captain Otsoka with you on that game. Big combos and clips from the Falcons, and that gives them the series 2-0. The Monarchs of Old Dominion and the Beavers of Buena Vista playing in Rocket League, and our best clip here came from the final game in the series that was back and forth for a good couple of games. But in game number 6, Lethix putting an exclamation mark on the series with this.
Down to half pitch. On the other side is Kyocera backflipping forward, and Sky, in their attempt to keep the ball away, now just sends us on out to the outside. But hey, again, that's what you got teammates for. Kyocera with the redirect off the ceiling, and now backboard up to it. And now a little bit of back and forth down bottom, and that's another double tap from Lethix.
FBI Tugboat and iAtomic with the call. Lethix making sure that the game and the series had the Monarchs' stamp of approval as they win over the Beavers in 6 games, 4-2. Black Knights of Army West Point and Red Foxes of Marist in Overwatch 2 now, and this game had all types of insanity going on, which leads to a 1-1 series heading into map number 3. The Black Knights are on attack and about to finish Circuit Royale in overtime, but this Sojourn from Marist has other ideas in mind.
Could it not finish the kill, and now Army West Point are threatening a finish, and oh no, the Transcendence isn't there in time to save GG Dax. It's all gonna come down to this overclock from a bone. Finds 2, finds another. It's just Rock on the point with a sliver of health. The overtime wick burns away incredibly fast, and from one Sojourn clutch to another, Marist holds on. Army West Point fails to complete circuit.
Sam Toxin dividing with you there, and overclock is big in overtime. All the shots hit, but it would not be enough as the Black Knights took Circuit Royale and a very, very close Colosseo as they go on to win the series 3-1. And that will do it for the second edition of the Fall 23 Semester's ECAC Top Plays of the Week. Don't forget to check out all of the social media, plus check out everything going on the streams happening almost every single weekday. Thanks for watching, everybody. My name is Clutchkey, and until next time, take care, everybody. It's time for another edition of the ECAC Top Plays of the Week. As always, I'm your host, Clutchkey, here to bring you Week 3's top clips. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Mountain Lions of Concord and the Dolphins of Staten Island over in Rocket League in this game had a couple of crazy moments, from an overtime to a forced own goal, which for all good purposes, we're not going to show you. But the big clip here comes from the star of the show, also known as Helix.
Love to see that. Also love to see the defensive passing coming out. ET over to Helix looking for a teammate in the midfield. Going to beat one, but accidentally gets that last touch. And Pancake's not able to read that as Helix gets a monster dunk here. Can he turn around on it? He can. Helix, mechanics-wise, has been the star of the show in this series.
FBI Tugboat and Visionary 1 taking you through that series. In the game that the goal happened, Staten Island would make sure that no sweep was coming, but that didn't stop the series win for the Mountain Lions in the end. Final score 4-1 for Concord. Brooklyn Bulldogs and Mars Hill Mountain Lions in Valorant, and yes, we do have two Mountain Lions teams in action here, but Bulldogs and the Mountain Lions would fight hard and go the distance in this series. Brooklyn winning map number 1 on Ascent, Mars Hill winning map number 2 on Split, so it all comes down to Haven, and the top play in this case, well, let's just say it's more of a 2-for-1.
They don't know. They just passed each other. They assume it's clear, and now Shadowcaster takes the punishment, and oh, I almost thought that was down, and instead we see the lockdown, the spike coming through. That was a little bit of luck on one side, and now Backside has to race in, gets the right click. I don't know if they'll be able to get it. They need a kill. They need to take this down. Otherwise, they're both detained, and it's a little bit of cleanup crew for Mental.
Jade Turbo and Sof Danim on the call, and for those that were caught up in the chaos, that's Excite on the Jet with the 2 insane kills, and then Mental Athlete coming up clutch with the lockdown. In the end, though, it's the Bulldogs that take the very close series 2-1. Fighting Muskies from Muskingum and Hawks from St. Joseph's throwing hands in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I'll tell you what, this series going stock for stock, and that means there was a lot of potential for top clips, but our best clip happens in set 1, Degs on Marth, and it's always fun to see off-the-map fights, isn't it?
He definitely plays melee because he did down throw and tried to check chase into another throw. I think he's a melee mark.
I see it too. Oh, good forward air tipper there. Hope should be able to come from this unless you get countered. Degs with a huge opener there.
Yeah, counter mid-air and getting the stock goes kind of nuts. Acoustics and Soy with you there, but anyway, like I said, this series was close, and that clip led the Fighting Muskies to a set 1 win, but set 2 would then go to the Hawks, and in the final set, the difference only being 2 stocks, but the Hawks come back from the first set to win it all. Ohio Northern Polar Bears and St. Francis Red Flash head into Overwatch 2 action. First 2 maps had the way of the Polar Bears on both Nepal and Kings Row, and heading into map number 3 in season 7, there's been a lot of Sojourn being played, and that's led us to a lot of clips being hit in the collegiate scene. Balder from the Polar Bears wants to add on to that.
Before the fight really ever begins, it just continued chaos.
We're seeing these things really doing the world's work on themselves, but Balder and this overclock 2 already looking to make that 3. Another pick here potentially, really wanted to get rid of V-Snipes, doesn't need the overclock, and now one final target to go. Karo assassinated. Balders.
Sam Talks and Jag with you there, and don't be confused, folks. A player named Balder is playing Overwatch, but this player would not be gatekept from a top play. Yeah, see what I did there? No? Okay, well anyways, that clip on Rialto leads up to the series sweep for Ohio Northern. Illinois Wesleyan Titans and the Rensselaer Engineers head to Summoner's Rift, and just like most of the games this week, this series went crazy. Rensselaer taking game number 1, and in game number 2, I'll preface this by saying that it was much like Valorant in terms of this clip being called a 2-for-1, but it's one clip since usually fights for Baron happen that way.
Navigate into this pit, how well can he damage these members and hopefully just at least get them off the Baron. Call the Forge God.
All right, they're going to try and run it through, but the Shockwave finally does some work. Ruthless and Nabs have to run away, and because of that animosity has to stand in the front line, down to about 50% HP, drawn back into the fight. RPI Red burning through that tank. We said they had no real access to that back line, but Shun says, I'll do it for you. Jumps into the front. That's going to be a charge. Nabs gets stunned up, flashing away, Exhaust able to keep him alive. This zap almost takes their life.
Orbital and Goferino watching and calling that craziness there. In the end, the Titans would go on to win game number 2, which would then take us to the decider game 3. And IWU in that game 3 would wrap up the comeback, getting the series 2-1. Also, check out the post-game interview if you get a chance. There's an explanation for the cosplay, I think. And that's it for episode 3 of the Fall 23 Top Plays of the Week. Don't forget to check out all of the social media, plus check out all of the streams happening almost every weekday. Hope everybody enjoyed watching this week's episode, and until next time, my name is Klutchki. Take care, everybody. What's up, everybody? My name is Klutchki, and welcome to episode 4 of the Top Plays of the Week here in the Fall 23 semester, where we have 3 games to get to. Yeah, less than normal, but just because we have less games does not mean we have any less clips. We still have 5 clips to get through here in the Top Plays, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. It's the Fisher Falcons and the King Cougars out in Super Smash Bros., and this one had a lot of good clips to get through. Set 1 goes to Fisher, who landed up with 5 stocks remaining thanks to DM. Set 2 would start off with DM, and well, remember, 0% is a great thing in this game, and keeping it is more impressive.
even more damaging because, as you can tell, this is not a big body. That is a light boy that is going to get hit heavy by this sword. Already at 118 right now. Trying to recover, able to snap to the ledge here, and actually get scooped by that up smash. And so it's a 0 to death right off the bat here from DM.
Soy and Orbital taking you through the match, and ultimately, DM would lead the Falcons to yet another 5-stock remaining stats. So, 10 stocks total through the series gives the Falcons the 2-0 series win. It's the Polar Bears of Ohio Northern and the Bulls of South Florida in Valorant, and there's 2 clips to be had here. First one taking us to map number 1 on Lotus, and it's crazy because South Florida gets the spike down in attacker spawn, so the Polar Bears have to go and pick it up. Too bad Crocs is there to deny any chance of that happening.
Going to be able to trade that out. Nimbus gets 2, actually. Spike's going to be down in spawn. Crocs going to call this out. They're going to have it, and I don't think they really care. Like, it's going to be a 2v2. Is it going to be ideal? No. Singularity able to pop him through the paint shells. That's going to be massive. Almost no HP as Crocs tries to keep this one down. Going to go ahead and swing, get the head tap on 1. He gets the reload off as well. Crocs not able to swing in time, and Crocs going to be able to hang down that spike.
Crocs swinging and peeking back and forth. That led up to map point and eventually leads up to Lotus being taken by the Bulls. Now map number 2 on Ascent, and this time it's Ohio Northern trying to defuse the spike in an 8-5 map score. Crocs from USF got the first clip, so that guy from Ohio Northern said, let's even things up for both sides, shall we?
But ONU, they do have at least one very hurt member on the opposite side of the Bulls, and now they're going to hard spray. Hayes is going to absorb some of that damage, but with that dark cover going out, oh, that guy just down checking into the dark cover, and now there's gonna be 1 left to go. It's been a swing of power plays both ways. Champagne doesn't have much HP, and now they have to survive existing in this smoke. Can't see much except a kill, and maybe 1 more, but that guy will be able to stick it. Lost everyone along the way.
Hail Monkey Man and Visionary 1 with you there, and that would put the Polar Bears within 2 rounds of the tie on the map. But that would be the closest that ONU would get. USF win the last 5 to 7 rounds after that, and it's the Bulls taking the series home 2-0. Tiffin Dragons and the Kane Cougars in Overwatch 2 action, and you may hear a familiar voice coming up. But to the game itself, first of the 2 clips takes us after the Tiffin Dragons take map number 1 on Lijiang Tower 2-0 and map 2 on Kings Row 2-1. Now we go to map number 3 on Route 66, and while Tiffin's mascot may be the dragon, let's just say the dragon was on the side of the Cougars this time, and Becomix would become him.
Ults are involved. They will make some changes of their own. The Echo Mercy is back. Cream is over on the Rhine to try and at least counter out Leo a tiny bit. So now it even puts even more pressure on Stan to get the value that's needed.
So here comes the Dragon Blade. The Nano Blade comes out, swing, dash, hack away, gets 3, looking for another in the air. Becomix finds 4, and the Dragons are silenced. Yeah, Dragon silenced by Dragon Blade. You don't hear that all too often. That would lead up to Kane completing Route 66.
Welcome everyone to the ECAC Super Elite Semifinals. My name is 4y4. That is Sofchan. We've got the East River rivalry, as I am dubbing it, between Pace University and Brooklyn College on our hands. It's a best of 5. It's on 14-6. Those are the details you need to know. Soph, how are you?
Oh, I'm so excited because, as you said, we are on live patch. We are playing best of 5, and this is the moment not just for ECAC playoffs to really heat things up, but it's the rivalry you mentioned there between Pace and Brooklyn College and how they have been facing each other on CLOL, NECC, everything that has to be done with League of Legends and Collegiate. They have been facing each other. So if I heard it correctly, Brooklyn has a little bit of a lead in regards to those records and scores, but I know that this is going to be most entertaining because best of 5s never disappoint.
No, they do not, especially like you said, so between 2 teams that are pretty evenly matched. There have been 2 1s, there have been 3 0s, but like you said, Brooklyn hold that 2-1 edge. We are going to be getting into draft here in just a little bit, but like you said, they've competed in CLOL, ECAC, NECC, every league that there is, and every time I checked, every record I could get my hands on, these 2 teams match up pretty much evenly. So, I hope you had your coffee because we should be in for a long one here.
yes, we will. We got some time zones differentials for me, for you, for production in the back scene, but we know we're going to be here all night long if League of Legends serves us correctly. And I'm so excited because we thought that things could be changing in regards to draft because of patch notes and, of course, that's what happens. I know that we have a much different playstyle for the bot lane because we've had with 14.5 and 14.6, we've had the smaller nerfs, we've had some buffs to Jinx and the attack speed plus critical hit items, and that could favor some of these champions. Now already Pace on blue side, Brooklyn on the red, starting with a Senna. And I think it's interesting because I'm looking at the notes and Senna is also in the list for nerf in this last patch.
Yeah, but this champion's like a bad cold. You just can't seem to keep it away. No matter what you try, you nerf the soul rate, you nerf the stacking AD rate, you nerf, I don't know, the attack range. Anything you try to do to this champion, it will find a way into the meta. That Senna is going to be taken away from Ming or Princeton. We don't know, right? I mean, it could be played one of a number of ways, but either way, we won't have to worry about it. Twisted Fate, still a menace in the top lane despite those nerfs. Again, that global ultimate, a point-and-click stun. With those two things, you can go a long, long way.
Yes, you can. And we've seen quite a lot of that AD build for Twisted Fate, but we know that a couple of things have been changed, considering some tweaks and nerfs to this build in particular that we have seen through the patches. Now, still focused there on the top lane is that Jace. You want somebody to be very versatile, you got Jace, you got Na. Those are your options for the top lane. And for the side of Pace, they're taking out their Graves and a possible Kassadin. Abe's there at the mid lane, if I'm not mistaken. We have a slight differential there in regards to name, but that would be, yeah, it's still Sam. It's on the side of Pace that we have a different name plate. We got Kusai, and it's supposed to be ECAC, so that's the player you usually think about when you're looking at Pace's mid lane.
Yep, Kusai going to be subbing out. We might have a sub a little later in the day as well, a little behind the curtain peek for you, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we are seeing still a lot of top lane bans, and this has been kind of the name of the game in Season 14. We really haven't seen tanks show up in the top lane at all. It's about pushing in the side lanes. It's about winning out your lanes in the 1v1, and it might be about Jinx B1 here. You mentioned those AD item changes. This feels like at least a product of that.
Oh, yeah. And I would be very happy to see something in regards to enchanters going out with this Jinx in the bot lane, because we've seen so much, as you said, top lane lacking tanks. That's where the tanks are, as the support going out together in the bot lane, because we've seen so much Rel, Nautilus, Alistar even. And this Jinx, to me, screams a Lulu. I don't know what you are thinking, but I think this is the best case, and I would be very happy to see that. Now, Brooklyn getting their R1, a Zac that we haven't seen recently, especially on LCS, going out towards the top lane more than the jungle, and then next hovering that Karma that, although being nerfed, the Malignance, the main item on her build, she's still incredibly viable for the mid lane.
Yeah, incredibly strong, like you said, just enchanters and AD carries, right? And in the hyperscalers, with the hyperscalers that we do have in the meta, right? Aphelios starting to make a comeback as well against some of these items, some of these critical strike items, trying to take us away from a bit of a lethality-focused bot lane that's been the name of the game in Season 14. And something else, as we get the Veigar locked in here for Kusai, I mean, I think at least we think it's going to be for Kusai, could in theory be for Rudy down in that bot lane. But something that we were told behind the scenes by Tentacle, who is Brooklyn's coach, they said, look, something that we want to focus on is very flexible drafting. And they said that at times they want to flex as many as 4 lanes in draft. So we've got this Zac. You mentioned that it could be flexed in a couple different roles. Karma as well. Princeton has played that in support, according to their OPGG. And there's that Lulu that you said, Sofchen.
Oh, I love to see it. It's so good. And we got the duo there for the Yordles as well. I really like it. And of course, you really want to have that escape with Lulu that the Jinx needs. You need the wild growth, you need everything to keep the Jinx alive. Now, I love this response from Brooklyn hovering this Kai'Sa in the late. In the early game, you're still going to be hyper scaling just like the Jinx is, so it's taking a little bit longer to go through those early and mid minutes of game. But then when you get to that killer instinct point, when you can just go to the back line and take down the Jinx, that would be essential for Brooklyn to make a successful team fight. Now, getting into our second round of bans, with already 3 supposedly top laners that are taken out from Brooklyn. They have another one, so XZ really is a point of focus.
Yeah, I was going to say, make it 4. Like, an absolute slew of top laners banned away here. Wouldn't be surprised if they take away a 5th here, but that's really not leaving a ton of options left. Although, actually, now I say that, that's not totally true. Like we said, we've seen the top lane meta shift and warp a little bit. There's the Jax, there's the Cassante still available. And actually,
Olaf sometimes.
Yep. Olaf as well. Darius as a viable counter into tanks if you want to take that matchup. The Darius is taken away here. So again, that kind of leads me to believe that maybe this could be a tank matchup, especially, you know, things like Aatrox, things like Rumble, right? You're supposed to blast lane very early on. So maybe they want to take a very specific approach here, and I wouldn't be surprised, again, with the bleed, with things like that being taken off the table, I could see this Zac going into the top lane, right? Maybe they've shown that card early with the amount of drafts, or the amount of bans, excuse me, that they have been thrown over to XZ.
Oh, absolutely. It makes quite a lot of sense as well, because you're thinking, yes, you bring somebody that can be versatile into your first pick, and then you try to decide what's going to be your focus. If you see that the other side could be fought against the Zac, then you keep it in the jungle, in the top lane. But if you want to keep it in the jungle, you could do that swap, especially for R5, a very important slot for you to take your top laner pick. Now Pace, with a couple of the choices out of the table, they decide to go for a hover on the Renekton that I very much enjoy. And it's going to be useful against this composition for Brooklyn with the amount of shields you have. If you go towards that Serpent's Fang, could be very interesting. And now the Brooklyn side can protect really well their ADCs. If this comes to be a Volibear for Pace, I wonder how that's going to go.
Yeah, I'm enjoying kind of just the amount of anti-dive you have here, right? You've got the Veigar cage, you've got the polymorph, right? You've got a point-and-click stun. You've got a lot of options to protect the president, right? That's what this composition is sort of screaming. With a hyperscaler, you can get that, you know, that type of composition just naturally builds itself up around this thing that is such a potent win condition. Now, here's the crazy part about this. So if I'm breaking caster rule number 1, which is don't talk about hovers, but the Shaco is something that is in the bag. So I was telling production before we got on air, as I was looking over some OPGGs, doing some little last minute research, I said, I have never casted a Shaco game. And I'm not going to lie to you, viewers, I did not want today to be the day that I casted a Shaco game. But
it is.
Here we are. Now, this is about, you've got a gazillion different lanes that this could flex into, right? Again, this is flexible drafting that Tentacle talked about here. Every single one of these champions, except for the Kai'Sa, and heck, maybe even the Kai'Sa. There's a tiny chance that it goes into the mid lane. But pretty much every champion except the Kai'Sa is not accounted for as far as its location on the map.
Yeah, you can really go anywhere. And I think we've seen recently, I'm not sure if it was a Brooklyn game that I did cast, but I saw recently in Collegiate, one of the teams choosing not just the versatile composition, but also choosing to swap the lanes, as they decided to, in the map, after they have the draft finished off, they swap the players in their roles. So I don't know if this is a case of it.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So as for the draft, we're having Phil at the Zac top plus the Shaco in the jungle, so a little more standard, a little more normal, I would say, from what we were thinking. Even the slimness of chances of having a Kai'Sa mid. I know you were thinking about that, but that's not going to be the case. And to be fair, I really like this composition. We think of a Shaco that could have a presence in regards to invading, especially. You want to be sneaky, you want to get those boxes in, you want to try to at least chip some damage down on the Lee Sin. Of course, playing now Volibear, that's going to get confusing at one point.
Yes.
We know that, but that's fine. And I think this could benefit well on how much the bot lane needs to be growing steadily. The Seraphine is going to help poke a little bit, but the Jinx is just going to be very well protected. So this is a super late game composition for both sides in the bot lane, while in the mid lane, if they can take advantage of the mobility that Karma has in the early levels against the Veigar, maybe trying to go in, bait out a flash, that would be very, very good for them to try to shut down Pace early.
You talk about the additional advantage that the Karma could bring you as far as just sprinting at you, right? I'm looking at the Seraphine help that out as well, right? With the Encore, with the speed ups that she can give. I think, again, fighting in these choke points, you've got certain ultimates that can synergize really, really well. And that's what I'm looking for on the side of Brooklyn. Lee Sin on the Volibear. Again, remember, Lee Sin, that is the name.
Is a player.
Yes, that is a player playing the Volibear. It'll get confusing. We're all just going to hold our hands and do our best here.
Yeah, we're all good. We're all good. Now, getting into this game, we have on the side of Pace just protecting the jungle, but a 4-stack coming out from Brooklyn College that could be contested. There is a Shaco box. It's going to hit there. Ooh, some damage.
Wow.
Very nice.
The double E there, prepped immediately by Princeton. Throwing out to get that CC down. That's why if you're planning something like this, kids, don't put a point into your skill immediately. You never know what exactly you might need, right? I mean, different, especially with the Seraphine, the abilities just so uniquely do different things. You want to get the right one there. And like you said, so while on this Shaco, maybe invading with the boxes, trying to get that vision, ship that damage, like you said, but very, very well set up to be defensive as well. But Princeton going to take advantage of the vision that they had up on the top side, get a little ward down on the red buff on the bottom side to get a little tracking onto Lee Sin, and responded in kind by XZ on the Renekton.
And it's a lovely transition as well, because as you think of a Shaco, you want to think of, they're going to go for the camp that has the most minions, the most enemies, because you're going to be getting your stacks and your boxes. Just we saw that. They got the boxes early on the Raptors, then going straight into the red buff. So it's natural that Pace wanted to get that deep ward in the red buff, and that's exactly what Brooklyn read just before it happened, guaranteeing that they were going to have so much damage raining down on Lee Sin that I think they've got their strategy down to a T.
See how they execute.
Excusez-moi.
Yeah, hang on a second here. XZ taking it to Phil here in the top lane. On the Zac again, banned out a ton of very lane dominant picks, a lot of anti-tank picks, and Renekton maybe not so much an anti-tank pick, but just a lane dominant pick, right? I mean, it's a tale as old as time. You know exactly why you pick this Renekton. So speaking of things that kind of look for and track into the future, that Renekton, right? How can you transition that lead, be that bridge into this insane late game that you could have? Lee Sin going in here, not opting to blow the flash, actually gonna get chased down here by Hwalp. Gonna eat a couple of 2-shift poison, but after that, nothing doing.
It's a good follow-up as well from Hwalp, going out for the top side, trying to gauge where the Volibear was. So noticing that Lee Sin was maybe trying to go for something in the mid lane. Now looking exactly at that, after allowing Sam to keep that flash because they were feeling protected with that shadow coming from Hwalp, you also position yourself just behind a red buff, trying to get something, a steal, or even something that can just make the Volibear be behind. But Rudy, they are aware of it. This could be a deny completely onto 12, and they have to escape.
Well done there by Lee Sin, throwing the E down, the Sky Splitter, getting that damage down on Hwalp. Again, recognizing the potential for the shenanigans by a Shaco. I mean, I don't know. So you've heard of secondhand embarrassment, right? Just kind of, this feeling you get when just secondhand cringe. You are in the same room as something ridiculous and uncomfortable going on, and you are like, please get me out. I'm crawling in my skin right now. You understand that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Usually it's the Shaco that makes me feel like that.
Yeah, I'm getting secondhand tilt from this.
Oh, yeah, me too, because I'm usually an ADC player. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I support and jungle for me. Yeah,
okay.
or just kind of fill where I can do the least amount of damage. But
yeah, basically you want to get your hands on everything and help everybody. Oh gosh, this Renekton is really bullying the Zac.
Yeah, there's this is going pretty well here for XZ. But to be fair, Phil here, I mean, you can do a lot of work on this Zac. I mean, the secret is pick up your blobs. The amount of self-healing you can do, again, because you are a resourceless champion. Right? Actually, no, that's not true. Your abilities cost health. But you can get that right back, get that sustain in a lane like the Renekton, where you're going to be taking a lot of punishment. And going, not even, but totally be down a wave to a Renekton, again, on a Zac that is not a duelist, not a lot of combat power, while into the mid lane onto Kusai. Not going to get anything, but will get the flash.
Yeah, very nicely done. So again, the rotations coming out from Hwalp have been very on point. Now recognizing that, of course, Sam is going to have the priority in the lane. Gets a little bit of that shapeshifter there, going into clone. Escaping, getting a dash away, forcing out that flash from Kusai is very important because they are already out of teleport. They're not going to be able to come back to lane, but look at Lee Sin.
Wow, going in immediately. The baby cage is thrown down. It's actually the root that is going to get Sam out of trouble here, but the damage goes right back down onto Hwalp. And Sam, with the extended range, with the flash out of there, is able to throw the Q down. Hwalp completely missed it, but the 2-ship poison is going to give first blood over to the jungler for BC.
Sheesh! Oh, that was ballsy to go just right there at the edge of Fog of War, going out back into the mid lane. But, well, that knife is going to follow you. That dagger is going to follow you anywhere. And that's usually what gets me the most terrified playing against Shaco. But 4x4, all of the sides have been very, very dominant for Brooklyn College. We just had a glance at the bot lane. Rudy was very low on health. Both them and the ADC had to go back to lane, go back to base and return. So that is going to build very nicely for the late game for Brooklyn.
Yeah, and I mean, look, again, we talk about this Renekton and everything that it can do, but look at what is happening as Phil is just kind of being punched by this Renekton. Up. Okay. Not up in CS, but Phil opting into all these trades here. The Dominus still not popped here by XZ. Finally going to go in here, but the Let's Bounce is popped right back. Still has the passive. Not going to get popped. XZ will walk away with just that little bit of extra healing. Meanwhile, Wallop is going to grab number 1 and number 2 as far as the Void Grubs are concerned. Leave a Jack in the Box in his wake. Not let Lee Sin do anything in this one. Neither Jungler is at level 6, but the top laners both have it. They are throwing hands, Soph.
Oh, they are everything. They got the extended hand split in, but the Zac is just really trying so hard to try and, okay, the rest of our lanes are doing really well. I'm just going to keep the Renekton here. Let them not go back to base. We can get maybe a gank coming out from Hop. There is no TP, correct? They can try to do it. That would be essential. At the same time, XZ is also freezing, so that would create a possibility for the slow push coming back from Brooklyn and Hop following up with a gank. So I think that's clever. At the same time, Pace is heavily relying on the lead that XZ has right now as this Renekton. And as you mentioned, although Phil is getting really punished, they're just about 10 CS behind.
In comes Lee Sin, no flash, no problem. Sky Splitter comes down. Well, maybe no flash, a little bit of a problem, actually, because Sam ran away, throwing up the emotes, and throwing out Mantra Qs like it's nothing. And Lee Sin just to run with his fluffy little tail between his legs back into his own base.
Yeah, that's really the power of the Karma. League of Legends Karma 14.6, because it's unfortunate when you have the developers trying to get the patch notes, nerfing down the Karma, get her back to the bot lane, nerf down Malignus, get her back to bot lane, but then she doesn't leave. She's really grasping her fingers here onto the soil in mid lane, and nothing is going to get her out.
It's pretty remarkable. And not only that, Soph, I mean, you talk about how dominant the sides of Brooklyn College have been. You know, look, the Bramble Vest has been a great pickup here for Phil, but now Lee Sin might be in some trouble here. Actually throws down the ultimate to try to get away, but the Polymorph coming down. A little bit of help here from Rudy. Coming up, though, is Princeton. Gets the root down, gets the shield down, but it's not enough. Sam going to walk away with the kill onto Lee Sin. The clone going to be left behind. Baby Cage comes down. Sam going to eat all of this one. The W comes down from the Veigar. Rudy going to get the kill. Not ideal, but good to get one back if you're Pace. Jinx getting excited, using that one defensively, and that will be all she wrote. Finally, and up on the top lane, Bill goes down, but not as far as the scoreboard is concerned. That passive going to keep the BC top laner alive and well.
Yeah, Cell Division has been popped, and for the first time, Pace can come back to base in that top lane because Renekton has been getting so much pressure. Now they can do it. Looking back. Oh, they don't want to let that go easily because Phil is pushing out this lane very, very fast, not allowing for XZ to come back. And on that fight we just witnessed there on the bottom side of the map, it was close for Pace to try and get another one, but then when you have come back to win, going out as a Jinx straight into the double E from Princeton, then nothing can really happen. Of course, the Jinx really needs to be getting close to their enemies in the stage of the game because she's not going to have that much of an attack range and that much of a crit potential, of course, just solely into two components in the game.
Two components, and I think I come back to win, looking like it's a static Shiv angle. People like this, I mean, look, say what you want about the static Shiv. I'm not even going to provide my opinions on it. I'm just here to tell you kind of what I have heard as to, you know, try to paint the story of this game, try to tell you why certain ADCs really like it. Obviously, the wave control, obviously accelerating the game and what it can do there, especially in the early to mid game. If you are a hyperscaling ADC where your impact is going to be felt more in the late game, the upfront burst damage is really, really nice as well. I've heard that from people. But again, I'm not the ADC player. I don't know. I guess I'll trust it when I see it.
Oh, I think you have a great point there because I think especially nowadays that you do the static Shiv as first item, there's exactly as you said, there is big pressure coming out from Brooklyn on all lanes, so they gotta try to fight it back.
Again, at least having a poppy ultimate and the flash, using everything defensively on this Volibear Soph.
Yeah, I was just gonna say defensively is the word for Pace at this moment. There's some edge that they had in that previous bottom fight, but then they only got one kill, and again, because of how they positioned in this one, they couldn't get an angle to go to fight and for the Void Grubs, excuse me, and Brooklyn College is getting themselves up now to 4, if I'm not mistaken, as we speak, and XZ joined the fray.
Lisa going right back in here. Let's bounce, says Phil, and he bounces the Renekton right back into the gray screen. And Lee Sin just getting bullied out of his jungle here. The Void Grubs went the way of BC, and everything else is too so.
Yeah, and one thing that I didn't notice until this point, of course, we can feel the pressure that BC has had on all lanes, aside from that top side, because of XZ being very dominant on the Renekton, is the mid lane. If I'm not mistaken, oh, let's just skip that thought because the Skies is just about dead. Ooh, almost.
Very good cleanse here. The Encore going in over the top. Rudy not going to get the picks. Auto down, but the Enchanter, or the, excuse me, the Super Mega Death Rocket, the other global ADC ultimate. My bad, mixed them up there. Almost took Ming right out of that game. And so that would have been huge to try to get some sort of advantage back from Pace.
Oh, yeah. And every single time it feels like Pace is just leaving them on very, very, very low health and not being able to really finish them off. That has been the tell of the story for XZ in this top lane because Phil hasn't died a single time. And of course, there was one moment when Pace got that kill, quote-unquote kill, of course, because you take the passive down on the cellular division there for Phil. It was as close as they actually got,
Yep.
but on the sides of the map, they have 5 Void Grubs, the Karma, on 116 CS versus 75. Things are looking rough for Pace.
Yeah, things are not looking ideal here. And speaking of not ideal, man, XZ just... That Bramble Vest, when that started coming in, you saw... I mean, the way that... If you would have just, like... People talk about turning nameplates off. If you could just turn the champion models off as Kursai taking a beating here in the mid lane, you would have thought, like, look, this Renekton must be going into a Jax, a Darius, a Rumble or something. The way that the health bars were coming down. But Phil, he has more than held his own in this top lane.
Yeah, they're doing really, really well. Now, ooh, almost getting there. There was a cage connect, but of course you can escape with your clone. There's a mesh repop, and Lisa is looking to get some pressure around here, but it's... I don't know about this rotation. We're still 2 minutes left for the next Drake, and you kind of waste all this. That is an ultimate out for Lee Sin, and a TP that's forced back from XZ into the top lane. I don't know about the timing.
Yeah, neither do I here. Especially that ultimate from Lee Sin felt... I mean, I don't even know what to say, what it felt like. I didn't really see where kind of the angle was. Again, with no flash either, right? With a flash ult or with an old flash, you can cover a little bit more ground. Oh, Lord. The Sharks are circling here. Kusai is a dead duckling. Wow. I mean, doesn't even need it. Takes the flash away. The Q goes down, and Whop goes over the wall. Shows the Mastery 7 emote like a good Shaco one-trick would do. But again, Lee Sin here trying to execute this dive, and it will work.
No.
Oh, my. There's no shot. Thank goodness. That would have been... That would have been an FF in all chat type of moment.
I think there is one shot, one opportunity, and that is the Super Mega Death Rocket onto Ming. Oh my word, again, if they didn't get that kill, it would have been miserable, but they got it. At least it was enough damage on the sliver of health, it was going to be enough. But now going into the back line, XZ is on a 1v1.
In the 1v1, has the level 2 ultimate on level 11. The first turret does go down to Salmon with that pressure. Whalp and Princeton feeling really, really good about the idea of taking this Rift Herald. 5-1 in terms of the Void Grubbies, Ed and Eddie, the Chicken Nuggets, whatever you want to call them. That has gone over. And again, that breakpoint, that 5 Void Grub breakpoint has gone over to Brooklyn College. So, zooming out just a little bit here. It has been a lot of fighting here, despite only the 6 kills in 14 minutes. But things are really going well for Brooklyn. We've established that. And something else that their coach Tentacle told us before the broadcast was, yes, flexible drafting. We want that to be a bit of a calling card of ours. But also, excellent team fighting was the exact phraseology that was used. So I'm looking forward to seeing that when we do get there. Because, again, this composition, we kind of talked about how they want to fight in choke points. They want to go forward. They've got a little bit of an X factor here with the Shaco as the Dragon goes down in favor of Pace.
Oh yeah, and as you said, the Shaco now on 301. Okay, all right, nothing scary aside from those usual slaps to the face in the top lane. But the Shaco really doing incredibly well. Whalp is executing exactly as you would expect from that early pressure into invades, guaranteeing ballsy plays. Of course, you don't have a flash because you don't need it. You have your ignite, so if that is something that could help out, that is going to be massive, especially fighting against the Renekton plus the Volibear. So, and even Rudy having that wild growth onto someone, because if you deny some of that healing, it is going to deny it.
Both ultimates go down. The healing is cut every time that XZ wants to get an auto onto Phil. That Bramble Vest just reduces that healing with the Sunfire Cape coming in. Literally all that Phil has to do is stand near the Renekton, and they've got a fighting chance in this. So if this 1v1 going remarkably well for the Zac. But the fact of the matter is XZ's still up 20 CS. But the other fact of the matter is 0 kills, 1 death for a Renekton. Okay, you're up 15 CS, fantastic. What have you done for me lately? Right, this is not why you picked a Renekton. Going right back in here. XZ getting the double stun down, but Phil perfectly happy to stay alive.
Oh yeah, and they can. They have good shadow as well. Now that we are into the 16-minute mark, we also know there's going to be a Hextech Soul. The Hextech Gates are on board, and that helps immensely for Whelp and how they have been rotating. Now look at this. Again, not only going out for the enemy jungle, but also trying to clear out that vision. At the same time, the fact that Pace got the trade in the Drake, where Brooklyn got the Herald themselves, is somewhat of, okay, we're trying to keep our ground. XZ has to get some pressure, some offense, but not die. So they have died once. They need to keep it that way exactly. And because you have a positive ADC plus support in the bot lane, that's going to help you get into a better stage when you reach the 20-minute mark, especially now that the static is completed. Next item, probably that Kraken Slayer, is also going to be very sustainable.
Yeah, that Kraken Slayer is going to feel really good again. You know, the Sunfire Cape, the Bramble Vest, that's tough into this Renekton, but that's why you build the Kraken Slayer, and then that LDR, probably third item. You see that coming relatively early here. Even, again, we're in a lethality world. Just a lethality girl living in a lethality world. XZ in some trouble here, has to flash away, pops the Dominus. The smite comes down as well. The ignite from Whelp. No healing, but it doesn't matter. The shutdown somehow goes over to XZ, and the rest of the gang has showed up here. Killer Instinct into the backline. Ming gonna grab the kill here. 5-3 in the kill count. Over the wall goes Prince and has to flash away. Soph, Pace showing a little bit of life.
Yeah, showing a little bit of bulk as well. Oh man, that was really good, and it almost felt like they were going to come out of it completely untouched, but then a great rotation from Brooklyn. Now, the initiation from XZ was amazing. The fact that they got to know, okay, this is how much I can do forward into the W. Almost. Oh.
Absolute.
Damage is so comfortable everywhere.
Oh my goodness. And the chance Crystal Arrow. Good lord. The Super Mega Death Rocket just goes wide. What a Chad play there from Sam, knowing exactly what the champion could do and executing on it beautifully. Lee Sin just throwing down the Sky Splitter here. Intent to maybe chase down Whelp here. It's been Whelp's world, and we're all just living in it. 3 kills for the Shaco, but still a level down here to Lee Sin. So, again, this has been a BC-dominated game. Make no mistake about it. But the fact of the matter is, so only a 2,000 gold lead here. Actually, less than that. And the members of Pace, again, we've talked about that. This is a rivalry that has been back and forth. This has been a lot of contested this series, a lot of contested BO3s, BO5s across a bunch of different tournaments, a bunch of different leagues. And you see here, Pace, they're content to play from behind because they know they've got the bigger win condition coming on in the late game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I would say as well, there was one point, I think we were in around 14 minutes, that Brooklyn College was specifically 2,000 gold ahead. So if they maintained that gap and increased it, that would have been that win condition, like just straight to the point. But then that's not what happened. Pace really stood their ground, and having those translations of taking the Drake, trying to get some rotations with XZ, and of course taking advantage of this Cleaver plus Eclipse on the Renekton already completed. That's going to be a lot of damage onto Phil. So if they can execute that well, the rest of the team for BC is very, very squishy. So if they can get one good stun, one good cage with Kusai, or even a good polymorph from Rudy, they can deny all the shielding they have with Karma, with Seraphine, and really try to make something happen.
We'll see how those team fights play out again. That's something we're watching here. BC and their staff, something they really pride themselves on. As Kusai actually just flashing away there from Sam. Not wanting to get in any part of that. Brinson just getting run down here by Lee Sin. I'm going to sprint to you. I'm going to beat you with my furry paws. The Super Mega Death Rocket going to go wide here. But now, Pace, maybe sneaking a little Baron. Maybe we do a little bit of objective taking here. TP coming in. I think Sam knows what's up here. Ming in tow. Phil over the wall potentially. Meanwhile, on the other side, Dragon taken. Dominance popped here. The battle lines are drawn. The fight has started. Into the back line he goes. Big kill there for the Renekton XZ with a huge shutdown. Phil gets one end of the stretching strikes in. The health bars are low, but the heart is willing, so forward they go. Pace University taking on the front foot here when Sam went down. That was huge.
Oh, it really was, because you have so much damage coming out from Sam, especially this team fight rotation that you have just control all the way.
Oh, Phil goes forward. The wombo combo gets everybody, but the kills go to nobody. Womp finally gets to the backline. Into the kills column they go. Kusai in a little bit of trouble here. Throws down the Dark Matter. Not going to find its mark, though. Womp chase it down. This manaless Veigar. Run, little Yordle, run. Shaco is coming for you, and he's going to flash a Mastery 7 emote in your face.
Oh my words, they live because Lee Sin was literally that meat shield. You had a cleanse popped, a flash popped there by Ming, but still they didn't get the kill. That's huge because already Kusai is unfortunately on 1-3-1, so being behind because of that big pressure that Sam asserted has to be remedied right now, and it has been coming through XZ now with better positioning from Lee Sin as well, but mostly with the kills and gold that are on the hands of the Jinx. They're not very much ahead compared to Ming, but I Come Back to Win is trying to get into that stage, which is called Jinx 3 items. Almost there. They have the Great Sword, they have Kraken Slayer, so going to hit quite a bit. Still, if they cannot assert in that front line, like for example getting picked off, okay, not gonna be the case.
I thought it was coming, Soph. I thought it was coming.
Me too. I was ready for it.
But Kusai, you talked about it, down desperately to his opposite number here in the mid lane. Sam markedly ahead of the mid lane counterpart there. The root lands there, and the big damage comes through. Princeton with the kill onto Rudy. Wild Growth herself, it wasn't enough. One more kill comes over for Brooklyn. But again, so if the lead for as far as gold is concerned is still really, really even. Pace has done a phenomenal job of coming back in this one. And yes, your Renekton is going to fall off a cliff here, but again, it's about the win condition, right? And Jinx is a massive one into the backline immediately. They pounce. They get the fight started first, and that is how they win it. Numbers advantage executed beautifully. They turn off the Baron, and they rip Pace to shreds. Bottom lane down. That is a problem, Soph.
Oh, it really is now, Kusai. You're on the other side of the map. That is not where you want to be. You gotta be careful. You have XZ here on a shadow. But there's another box coming from Shaco, trying to zone them out. They're committing.
They're committing, and I gotta be honest with you, I'm not sure about this one. The numbers advantage is so low. There's not much that XZ is gonna be able to do here. Kusai just getting run down by Phil, beaten over the head in very slimy, uncomfortable fashion. But now Lee Sin has come back, Rudy is back, and I Come Back to Win. We'll eventually get here. But so, without the ADC, this fight I think is gonna go the way of BC. They're trying to buy some time, trying to get in range of the Jinx, but she's still stuck in base. And meanwhile, her teammates are falling around her. Ming gets a kill. Lee Sin getting run down. Phil in range here. The Jinx is wrapping up here, but without a meat shield, she is toast. The double beat drop comes down. The choppers come down as well. XC trying to buy some time for this Jinx to get excited. Couple of autos come in. This team fight, it will finally end with Whalp getting the kill on the Jinx. It was a desperate attempt from Pace. Ultimately, it falls flat.
And it's difficult as well because you don't have flash, you don't have your used before I Come Back to Win, and on top of that, you didn't have I Come Back to Win, period, on your team fight. So it was a stretch trying to get something with Kusai and XXZ. A bold one, denying or at least stalling that Baron, yes. But then you give out those kills that you really cannot be doing at the moment. We mentioned the precipice between Kusai and Sam there in the mid lane. It's not just being on the negative KDA, though, to be fair. Sam also is at the moment. We're looking at 3,000. Okay, so 2.3 thousand gold that Sam is ahead solely on top of Kusai. And then you have 2,000 ahead for Whalp compared to Lee Sin. And things a little closer there for Ming against I Come Back to Win. But it has to be well executed. You said it in a fight 4v4. If Brooklyn College starts the fight themselves, they're most likely going to win.
They've got so many tools to start the fight, right? I mean, and to me, it starts and ends with Phil, right? If he can get a big ultimate, a big elastic slingshot, stretching strikes, you name it. I mean, Zach just does it all as far as CC. And if the follow-up is there immediately, and the damage is just brutal. Whelp is monstrous. 7 kills on the Shaco, now 8. That's what that feels like. Renekton, you can croc, you can chomp all you want. You're getting sent back to the gray screen. Ming with the kill on that one. To the Baron they go, Soap, and I do not want to see Pace try to contest this one again.
No, me neither, because the one person that's going to slice and dice is Whelp. The Shaco is absolutely incredible. And you think of a composition with a Shaco, it has to be absolutely well executed, or you are going to be on a huge deficit. It has been a successful case for Brooklyn College. 8-1-4 for Whelp on the Shaco. All the other lanes doing very well. I know that. Oh, so they try and do something about it. Oh my word!
Yeah, I was okay with this objective taken. It does work out here. Second dragon of the game, but they might pay for it with a couple of lives here. The dragon goes down, but so does your mid laner. Actually, Sam actually went down there somehow to the stray volley bear damage. But Ming, just a matter of dotting some I's and crossing some T's. I come back to win, stepping up very bravely here, throws down the choppers. But you are a Jinx. You are not an Ezreal. Somehow getting away there. But wow, picking up the 9th kill of the day for him. Dominant on his one-trick pick. 126 games already, by the way, so on this champion, and a 63% win rate on the Shaco. Do not leave this thing open for Whelp.
Oh, do not. Do not. Princeton is going here just behind tier 2 because it's going to go down swiftly. Baron buff. All the Void Mice that come with it because of the 5 Void Grubs they defeated. Brooklyn College is opening up your base. And you have Kusai. You don't have your jungler. You don't have Rudy. You don't have your support. How are you going to defend this? You have your ADC on the top lane and your top laner in the mid lane. This is just terrible for Pace at this moment, and unfortunately, it's just better for them to avoid the team fights. But for how long can they keep doing this?
I mean, yeah, that really does seem to be the question here. But again, it's like, I really do feel like, again, in a straight up 5v5, if you've got a Jinx on your side and she gets excited and you are able to keep her safe, you've always got a shot. You're only down, well, actually, you're down 9,000. That was actually a lot more than I thought it was going to be before I looked at the top of my screen. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I might have misled you there. Look, this is going to be tough. This is going to be really tough. But I think where my frustration is coming from is that we haven't seen, we talked about how good this composition for Pace is against dive, with a baby cage, with a point and click stun, with a wild growth polymorph. You've got a lot of options to deal with this composition that Brooklyn College wants to throw at you. But we haven't seen it at all. All we've seen is picks, which, again, credit to BC. They are not allowing Pace to play the game that they want to, which is that straight up 5v5.
Oh, yeah, and I think at every turn, oh, not again.
Hang on a second here. Whelp! Getting away with murder! The super mega death rocket goes just wide here. Phil coming in from absolutely nowhere. From Neptune, goes into the back line, but does not get the follow-up. The tower finally does go down. Whelp still in the back line, still alive, still in his own back line, I should say. Ming looking for a way into this one, but again, I come back to win.
Jesus.
Got the 1 kill. The Jinx is excited, and that might mean retreat for Brooklyn College, or maybe just a little bit of trickery. We do a little bit of sneaking. We're not going to re-engage, though.
Oh my god, that is illegal. Well, the mid lane was just being taken down by minions alone, and we saw something similar happening in a certain region of ours, right? 4x4. Minions taking down games is not something to be reckoned with. And now Pace trying to defend this tower, no minions, so that could be a breathing room for Brooklyn College. But one thing that I have been seeing quite a lot, unfortunately for Pace, is that I come back to win every single time gets picked off, and when they really need to go in and try to be more aggressive, they don't have their summoner spells, and as soon as they get out of line, they get punished by Sam, they get punished by Whelp, and this has been incredibly difficult. They have no vision, the killer instinct goes in!
You saw that one coming from a mile away. That is so tragic.
They were literally expliciting what I was talking about.
Yep.
Right? I think it was just to prove my point.
Yep, and that's very nice of them. Whatever players
so.
can do the casters a favor, make us look intelligent, that feels really, really good. Kind of looping back to something that we talked about earlier, how you've got a potential to really deal with all the shields coming in from the Seraphine, from the Karma. How about this 4th item here, which 4th item, by the way, shows you how far ahead Whelp is. We're talking about 4th items for them on 30 minutes.
That
the Serpent's
is
Fang
insane.
has come in here. right? Lulu, you know, like the Steric shield coming in from the for the Renekton, the Lulu shields, the Volibear slight shields, all just saying, nope, sorry, you are just gonna get 100 to 0 here.
Yeah, and they can do it. They are basically 11, 1, and 4. That's 700 gold bounty. And although Lee Sin has been keeping up in regards to CS, there's no point in the game to be counting CS for the junglers. It's supposed to be the silence, it's supposed to be the mid lane that makes a difference. And so far, Lee Sin has not been contributing that much in gold participation, whereas Whelp every single time. And one thing that we mentioned in the draft is how great the Shaco plus the Kai'Sa would be to get access to your backline. And they are really making it work.
Yep, and you saw exactly that, right? I mean, we talk about maybe I Come Back to Win has had a couple of less than stellar positioning moments, but the fact of the matter is, right now, with this kind of lead, Brooklyn College, they can take almost any fight they want.
They really could. We're talking about 53,000 for Pace and 61,000 gold for Brooklyn College. And as quick maths go, that would be 8,000. Okay, getting close to 9,000 gold ahead again for Brooklyn College. So because we got ourselves into 9,000 differential just as the Baron fight happened, not the Baron fight, but the Baron push happened, Pace has still been at least somewhat successful in stalling, right? Because you still have your tier 3s on top and mid lane. You have been at least avoiding some of that push. The lanes are getting into the middle stage on the map. You have the Hextech gates that could get you into a opportunist position for a Baron fight. But again, if you get picked off, if you don't have vision like this 4x4, this is how spells do.
Oh my goodness, it's a massacre! That is exactly how it goes. Wow, just taking health bars and ripping them in half, making a mockery of the fact that you could ever live this. The fight is split up though. When it's on Whelp's side, it's going great for Brooklyn College, but on the other side, everyone went in way too deep here, and actually, we have a kind of even fight here. 2 versus 3. Lee Sin not going to get away from this one, though. Again, where Whelp goes, kills follow. Where they don't go, Sam into the back line. I thought that was Whelp supposed to go doing the backline damage. You talked about the Kai'Sa, Shaco. Let me introduce you to Assassin Karma. It's an ace for Brooklyn College.
Oh my word, give this woman an eclipse, give this woman the Serpent's Fang, because she is going to bite and drain all your health bars down. There is no way we see a performance like this based on, especially on the team fight, not just because you have such a great gold lead for the side of Brooklyn College, you're also talking about the great spacing they've had. Whelp and Sam were incredibly low on health, and still they managed to pick up the fight. You said it on the fight 4x4, it felt like where Whelp wasn't, Pace was actually picking up the pace. But it wasn't the case. As soon as they come back, as soon as they finish off, go after the Volibear, Lee Sin down, that's when you can take Baron, just 2 seconds away from Lee Sin respawning, and that's a clean take if I've ever seen one.
And that's how you've got to fight a Shaco, right? Choose your moments, choose your angles, wait for your ability to just come back up, and it's a lot of upfront single target damage, right? And so you can only take kind of one target down at a time very quickly, yes, but the fights have to go on for a little bit. And I will say, you know, look, Brooklyn, they threw everything at that fight, and Pace actually played it okay. Again, later on, I come back to win decently well. XZ having a decent impact, again, all things considered. 4 items on this Renekton. This is not really his time to shine here. But look at just, I mean, with 3 autos, Whelp took out half of Lee Sin's health bar.
Yeah, it's very silly, especially because you have a tiny bit of a auto reset as well with your dagger. Yeah, it's very stupid. Now going out to the top side, tier 3 is done. Mid lane tier 3 is done. All inhibitors are open, and all of the minions are coming to help. This is not looking good for Pace.
It's Alamo time for Pace. Last stand hours against Whelp and the Homies. Do they have anything left here? Where Whelp goes, kills follow, but Sam doing his part as well with the massive lead he built up in the early game. He is on a rampage on this Karma. Into the backline goes Phil. Pops the left bounce here. Just buying time for everyone else to hit the Nexus. Team fights be damned. Flexible drafting gets you very, very far. But a Shaco one trick on a mission will get you even further. Brooklyn College take the 1-0 lead over Pace.
Oh, that is amazing 4x4. It was I would say a little skeptical in regards to the draft, but I knew that because of what we saw from Tentacle Coach and how they were saying, well, this is just how we like to play, then you have some confidence that they have a strategy down to a T. And they really did. It wasn't just the Shaker, so Whop performing incredibly well on that champion and the role, of course, but you're also talking about a composition that has a Karma. Sam punishing the Vega like it's nobody's business. In the bot lane, you needed the Kaisers to still take time to grow, but it's the ADC that can actually reach your backline. And then when you have a Zac to come through with it as well, oh my god, it just connects at every single stage. And then, funnily enough, it connects differently at every single stage of game as well. In the beginning because of invade pressure, in the late game because of straight team fight dominance.
Yeah, I mean, it was a wallet diff at one point, right? The team fights were fought very, very well. And again, I want to go back to something I said for pace. I was bummed that we didn't get to see them in a straight up 5v5 because I loved how that composition in theory could interact, right? I love that you had a pretty easy comp to execute. You had, again, a lot of anti-dive tools, and you had a Jinx, which means you've always got a chance with a champion like that that can get excited once you get those takedowns going, get those resets, and just rip through anything that you want to throw at her. Once you got that Kraken Slayer going, the LDR as well, but we never saw that. Boston or Brooklyn, my goodness, I'm sorry. I see BC and I see red and gold. That is Boston College's colors. I apologize, folks. I'll get it next time. But Brooklyn,
it's all right.
They didn't let them play their game. That was just exceptional, kind of foot on the gas, 1,000 miles an hour League of Legends. It was a little bit unorthodox from Brooklyn, but they got it done. A pretty dominant Game 1 victory. Don't go anywhere. We're going to Game 2. The East River rivalry continues in the Super Elite semifinals. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here. Pace University and Brooklyn College duking it out. Chapter 4 this year of the East River rivalry, as I am calling. I'm not sure if anyone else calls it that, but they are literally this far apart on the East River. Pace on the east side of Manhattan, and then there's the East River, and then there's Brooklyn. Brooklyn College is kind of right there as well. So I think geographic proximity makes the rivalries that much more fun. But what also makes it a lot more fun is the fact that these two teams have gone back and forth. They've taken games off each other in a bunch of different leagues. And so far, I have to say, this series does not look like that. That was a stomp in game 1.
It was. But to be fair, who do you expect? The hidden Shaco, the hidden competitive Shaco is the deadliest.
True.
And I think that was really proven by how in this. Oh my god. As I said, it wasn't just how they played the Shaco individually, it was also how the side lanes were really keeping things under control so that the Shaco could have that lenience and go into invades and really get vision and map knowledge. That was well utilized overall. They got the 5 Void Grubs, they got the Herald, so massive pressure that was being asserted from the early game that was really very well converted into making them go into the late game. But now, what we saw from Pace was a team that was really trying to keep the Renekton as the biggest form of potential victory, and it felt like all of the other lanes were having a hard time, really hard time, trying to come back from the deficit they had in the early game, and Brooklyn just didn't give them any place to try and come back.
No, that was it for me. So was that Brooklyn just kind of stepped on their throats and pressed down until they stopped breathing. They were not allowed to take any sort of fight. They had a Jinx, right, which is just the crucial, critical late game scaling AD carry. Your prototypical, your poster girl for that in so many ways, and she was not allowed to play the game, right? Huap was going absolutely wild on that champion. We talked about how even though a couple lanes were getting blasted, others were doing decent damage mitigation, but it just didn't matter. Cassidy being banned away as the two teams choose the same sides, or rather Pace being the ones that were defeated in game 1. They get to choose their side, and they choose blue side on the other side. More top lane bans coming in. They're not giving anything to XZ here, but they don't want to deal with that Zac again. Phil was, well, filthy on the Zac in game 1. Just too easy.
Well, I agree, and well, I mean, it's good. It's all right. You have a very good reason to do it.
Thank you.
But I'm looking at the difference between the both drafts so far, and of course, that is big caution in regards to Sam on the Kassadin. I respect that because we were having a couple of conversations in regards to how that would have affected the game if it was a Kassadin instead of a Karma. Based in less early game pressure, but terrible what they could do to Pace in the late game with backline access. Now this time around, Brooklyn goes for the same ban so far on the Twisted Fate plus the Jace, and to make a difference on top also have a Rakan, so maybe looking to try and deny another one of Ming's specialties would be the Xayah Rakan, very powerful at the moment. Because they went for the Kai'Sa with lethality in the previous game, they could try to rival it out with something more similar to the Jinx that Pace had in regards to a scaling, more crit damage build, and that is a good choice, I would say, from Pace to try and deny the Lovers combo.
Yeah, usually you don't see one without the other. You do see them occasionally, but Xayah and Rakan kind of coming as a package deal more often than not these days. Jinx gonna be locked in. Whoop, just kidding. It was hovered. Oh, caster rule number 1. I broke it again. But on the other side, again, 3 more top lane bans. It will be the Varus. Could go a number of different ways here. Again, depending on the composition that Brooklyn wants to draft. Also, something that I waited far too long to mention, ECA subbing in the mid lane. So this is, again, your original starting mid laner for Pace back in. So, again, if this was the original intended starting roster, then you'd like to think they're going to have a little bit of a better shot against Sam, or at least that's what you're hoping for Pace. Because you pointed out, so in the middle of that game, there was a 40 to 45 CS deficit all through the mid game. It was not good. Sam was having his way in the mid lane.
Oh yeah, they were. And to be fair, couldn't really blame Kusai for it. The matchup was terrible for the Vega. You have the Karma just very well executing it. And as we speak about her, Sam could be getting her again. It is a hover. And one thing that we also didn't talk about is the fact that they got the Volibear away from Pace that was being played by Lee Sin. A couple of questionable decisions in regards to resource management in the early game that Lee Sin had. But then afterwards, I think it was working out better for them as they scaled more, had the more of that damage and a little more of the HP bar to try and survive at least 4 attacks coming out from Hop. So very nice to see Brooklyn coming out with this. But of course, there's one thing that we mentioned from the previous game is that although it was Lee Sin on the Volibear, this could very well be top lane Volibear for Phil, because they love to flex people around.
Yeah, they absolutely do. No, and I'm glad you pointed that out because, yeah, we're so used to seeing the Volibear in the jungle, even though he's only just come back into the meta, but you could put him in the top lane again, take a little bit more of a bruisery build, which is what Lee Sin was kind of running with that Sundered Sky. But the vibe coming in here for Lee Sin this time, again, something with a lot of early game agency and point and click CC. That is kind of the name of the game here. Usually you don't see it into a Xayah, but the Xayah, again, with a lot of escape tools here, I do like it as a response into the vibe.
Oh yeah, me too. And it really makes sense now that Pace got that Rakan away, because of course you know how much and how well every player has been playing a certain champion, so they still decide to go for the Xayah, although there's not going to be a Rakan. Considering the Karma was well played by Sam, I don't think it would be Karma bot lane with the Xayah, although I think it would work well. I still think is going to maintain the same playstyle that they did in a previous game. As we're getting to the second round of Bens, we're looking at a Cassante for Brooklyn, counted out by potentially a Talia, but coming on top of the picks. Oh, did they lock it?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, that Talia ban would be. I think that's what you were gonna say. I apologize for kind of cutting you off there.
No worries.
This is Pace. If they lock in this Talia ban, kind of calling Brooklyn's bluff and saying, actually, I think you're going to take that Karma into the bot lane. But like you said, so if I'm sitting here as a spectator, I'm saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Brooklyn looked really good with Sam on that Karma. So that's what I'm doing there. This is a gutsy ban by Pace.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't think it's bad. They're trying to predict a very unpredictable composition that Brooklyn usually brings. And so far, they're betting their cards on Hwalp not playing the Shaco again, which I would say is dangerous. They still have that last one to turn it around. Oh, did they do it? Oh!
Ban the Shaco, not the Seraphine, man. The Seraphine's annoying, but you gotta take that Shaco
it wasn't.
away.
Princeton did play well on the Seraphine, but it wasn't them who made the biggest difference. Oh, no way!
I think that was Pace with kind of that flashing, like hovering the band there. I think that was them saying, "Do it again, we dare you." I think that was Pace taking an offensive approach, taking a bit of a flamey approach to that one. But I guess we'll never know for sure. Tom Kench is the hover here. That will be locked in. But again, this could be Tom Kench in the top lane. Who knows? Who knows? Brooklyn like to keep us guessing. To be fair, I mean, we were talking a lot about this, and we're just saying it because that is what we were told by their literal coach. But maybe, last game they played a pretty stock standard draft. Maybe saying all that is just mind games. Maybe saying all that is just, oh, we love flex drafting, and then you just got paced, us casters here just second-guessing everything we know about the game.
For sure.
And then you look up, and it's, oh, it is Karma in the mid lane, like we've seen this entire season. Oh, it is Tysa in the bottom lane. That makes sense. Oh, it's Zach in the top lane.
Oh, it's Tom Kench support.
It's Tom Kench support. It's Karma in the mid lane. It's Volibear in the jungle. Nothing new under the sun. Gangplank, though, very new under the sun and the moon and the eclipse that is going to come over the country in about a little over a week. So everybody get excited for that.
Oh, that's fun.
It's eclipse
Let's
time.
go.
Yeah, I am in the path of the eclipse, and that is when I decide to go to Europe. So I'm going to miss the eclipse, which is I'm really bummed about.
way.
But I do get to go to Europe, so you know.
Yeah, and for a very good occasion, so I think it's all right. It's all right. Now, while we were talking about our holidays, it's the Shaco. It's Hwalp getting the Shaco again, and I totally agree with you, 4x4. There's the mind games behind what Brooklyn says is their play style and what they draft, and yes, every single champion, not every, usually not the ADC, but every single champion they've been taking so far in draft could be flexed somewhere else. But as you said, they have not been doing this type of style. But what makes it is for a draft to confuse the enemy, and I appreciate that. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I think that's big moves.
Oh yeah, no, it makes it more interesting for us. So all power to them. Brooklyn, there should be another interesting one here again. Hwalp on the Shaco. Let's see if they make Pace regret this. I have a feeling they might, because Hwalp, again, in Grandmaster solo queue, a 63% win rate on Shaco. A game I've been casting for 4 or 5 years. I have never casted a Shaco game, now 2 in as many hours. This dude knows his way around this champion,
Oh, yeah.
clearly. But Pace, calling the bluff, putting their gauntlet down, and going with something that, again, is another composition that is relatively easy. Well, a little bit tougher to execute here, right? You don't have a true tank this time around. Your engage is a little bit better, but I think this composition wants to be played into, right? With the gangplank, with the zone control. You want to go for picks. You don't want to go for kind of that straight up 5v5. Your way to start fights is really just that Vi ult. That's what I kind of worry about. But again, if there's one person that I trust to have an impact in the mid game, in the late game, all of it, it's XZ on this gangplank. So something I have not seen all season.
Yeah, and we'll see if this is going to be well executed because, as you said, they did well against Phil in the top lane previously. But this time around, the Volibear not going in the jungle like Lee Sin did, is going out to Phil in the top lane. Could make a difference here. But so far, Brooklyn's still doing a very powerful 4-stack and even 5-stack at this stage. And Pace is not going to fall for it. Good on them. I mean, please don't fall for it.
Surely.
No, don't fall for it. Okay, we're good. We're fine. I love the trap, like the box placed exactly as it was.
Yep.
Oh my god. If Pace had the Seraphine hover swapped around with Shaco and they were going back and forth just to dare them, then Brooklyn was like, I dare you. Come back here. Come here.
Yep.
I got a secret to tell you.
Yeah, surely they wouldn't fall for it again. But, and so they don't. So, to be fair to them, yeah, not going to be too bad here. No similar deep vision gotten by XZ last time around, but Princeton again getting the same ward on the reds, on the blue side Baron, or the blue side Baron, the blue side red buff. But now, Lee Sin going to see Wild coming over that ward, and Lee Sin going to be able to grab the blue buff just barely.
Oh, well done. Well done. Because it was very preemptive as well. It was, of course, you don't have to be as precise when you're just getting it by yourself. Now let's see if they can steal this one. They managed to do it. Could steal the small ones. They do. Okay. So it's the whole camp now taken here from the Wolves by Whelp. But most importantly, that blue buff is still on the hands of Lee Sin, and that makes a big difference. And again, as I was saying, kudos to Lee Sin for noticing. Whelp could even go for an earlier invade rotation, because last game we saw them going for Raptors straight into red buff and then going to steal. But because they know the Vi has much better of that flat AD in the early game, especially with her W to try and clear out those camps, then it's easier and better for Brooklyn College to be more preemptive. So good on Lee Sin for recognizing that.
Trading back and forth here. Ika, remember, subbing in game 2. Playing the Ahri here, trading back very nicely onto Sam. Looking like a little bit more of an even mid-lane matchup, but still very early on. Meanwhile, in the top lane, these two still loving to throw hands. Phil actually burned the ghost here. Now XZ, pop the orange. Gonna get a little bit of healing back as well. 1 point in each of their abilities. Sky Splitter comes down for Phil. Gonna get a little bit more shielding. This is a fight that could come down to the margins should they try to go for it. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, they are absolutely going for it. Flashing away from trouble is Sam. Now, Whelp coming in to hang out, coming in to stay, coming in to get first blood. And Lee Sin might be toast here. If that eats back up off cooldown, it's going to be a little bit. It's a double kill. Disaster start for Pace. Brooklyn College on the board. It's Whelp on the pocket pick. And the Roots coming down as well from the feathering, flinging Ming on a rampage here. Brooklyn College make it 3. And now I come back to win is going to flash over the wall. It was almost an absolutely horrendous start. Brooklyn up 3-0.
The only thing that remains the same for Pace in this game is that XXZ is doing quite a good job here in the top lane, but they're gonna get caught. Oh my god, one auto attack left. One auto. Oh, the Q is not range. They can't.
Just
I'm dying.
just barely less than 20 HP. Phil somehow gets away with it, walks away. XXZ. What a chat. This top lane matchup is going to be fun, so I really hope we get more of this.
Oh yeah, me too. Oh my god, that was really close. Now again here in the mid lane, trading out the Mystical Fire plus the W here on Sam, trying to connect that snare. But one thing I was going to mention mention is XZ is the constant for pace at this point.
Yeah.
And because of all the engages that happened here in the 4-minute mark from Brooklyn College, all of the summoner spells, except from XXZ's, were burned. All of it. All 2 of them for every player on the side of pace aside from XXZ. And at this point, all of them are on cooldown. So Brooklyn just doing wonders with this pressure in regards to how much they could do with a Shaco. They are taking it.
Ooh, Lee Sin out with the vault breaker. It might just be enough here. Flashing over as well. Gonna get another couple of autos down. The big damage coming in from Phil and Sam. Now the kills being spread around pretty evenly here. 2,000 gold up. BC up on pace.
Oh, Brooklyn has been huge in this game. Of course, there was a bit of a difference considering that we saw a substitution there from Kusai there in the mid lane for pace in the previous game. But this time around, there is ECAC, so the main roster coming through together, all 5 players for pace could make a difference. But so far, again, it's only XXZ that has been able to create any sort of a lead all around Summer's Rift. Oh, Fog of War again!
XZ's got to be careful here. One more charge on the powder keg, and he goes with the Stormbringer right over the wall.
Oh,
actually getting able to get the kill there. XZ calling the bluff. Like you said, Soph, the focal point so far, I would say the only hope right now for pace rests entirely in the hands of their top laner. Fought actually decently here by Rudy on the gangplank. Not an ideal flash there from Princeton, but it's going to be enough to get them away.
Woo, wow, that got me breathing heavy, really. Because I thought that was going to be a kill onto XZ, but played that beautifully. Just waiting for the right moment. Although it was an ultimate wasted there by Phil, they got the... Was it just the Q damage, or was it like an auto plus Q? It was very fast and just exactly what they needed to get them away. Now trying to get a steal.
Ooh, Lee Sin going to be able to secure the dragon over the wall with the vault breaker. Now just if they can get away with Sam. Tether goes over and it's enough.
Oh, it just feels like every single time Sam is there.
Yeah.
And one thing that we mentioned is, yes, you have been focusing your bans on the Kassadin against Sam. Okay, I understand. It's very valid. But how much Sam has been able to do in the early game, which has been the style for Brooklyn College in this particular series, is just something to be aware of.
Speaking of something to be aware of, my goodness, the early damage here from Phil. But XZ, knowing this champion pretty well, knowing that you can take a bit of a beating and deliver a lot of damage on the back end, ripping through Phil's health bar in no time flat here. Getting a little bit of reduction here. No ultimate, no problem. That's not going to stop Phil. The shield. Oh, it's going to be enough. He got away with it. 30 health. But here comes Lee Sin going to do a little bit of damage control. Phil just trying to get the execute at this point. Lee Sin, no flash. Again, so it was burned in the early game. The execute comes through. That is unbelievable. That feels so bad for Lee Sin. And what's going to feel worse is that Whalp is waiting just one camp away, and they have no idea. Let's watch it play out, boys and girls.
Oh, yeah. Very, very quietly, though. It's gonna be sneaky. Gonna be very sneaky. Oh, they're waiting for the right moment. They're gonna wait for Lee Sin to start the buff. They're not even going in the... Oh, there it is!
There goes the sweeper. The ignite goes down as well. 2-shift poison coming out, but that has given enough time for XZ to show up. Wow. Fears neither man nor god, though. Just kidding. He is scared. That's why he's fared, spent his clone out there. Sam and Ipa doing battle in the mid lane. Charm misses, but the tether lands. Trying to get some honey fruit. Whalp goes over the wall, and that will be all she wrote. How about 3 kills for Whalp on the Shaco? So, where have we seen this movie before? Oh, that's right. It was half an hour ago.
Oh yeah, this is about to be a sequel because it's looking pretty much the same with a little bit of twist here and there. Because it's once again 302 here for Whalp in the early game for Brooklyn College. Not just that, it's a 5-kill participation for both Whalp and Sam in the mid lane, where you have a game of 7 kills for your team. And now looking at the gold, it's just becoming increasingly obvious how Brooklyn College can control the early game. You have 1,500 ahead, mid, jungle. Yeah, most of it going out for both of these two. CS department still trying to keep things afloat for pace, but we know how hard they struggled with getting back after being in a deficit.
Yeah, and again, it's just resting on this gangplank. Sam also just breaking Ika's ankles here, giving him no opportunity to land any sort of charm. Rudy showing up, playing a little bit of defense here, but Sam very much in control in this one. Tether almost going to land there, and the charms feels like those two E abilities going back and forth, being a little bit of the deciders in who wins these little skirmishes. While going up to the top lane, XXZ knows something's up here. Whelp gonna land on him. Smite goes down. Sky Splitter comes down as well. Zone ZZX off of it, and he knows that he is not long for this earth. Didn't even blow the flash. Knew that he was going down, and indeed he did.
And that is unfortunate, and to be fair, I would call it even a problem here for Pace, because they were aware of where Brooklyn College was, because they saw the rotation there with Sam taking damage from and taking damage and even taking down Ika, so they knew that Whelp was around. Sam would have a good shadow. When you see Sam going out to the mid lane and even a rotation coming out from Princeton, it means that there's something that's going to be up, especially when you have not only a Shaco, but Shaco in the hands of Whelp and how they have been performing overall. That means being that far advanced in the lane that XZ was just not a good idea.
No, I mean, Whelp is just all over the place. It's just right place, right time from Whelp, knowing exactly how to exert pressure all over the Rift on this champion. It's really, really impressive stuff. I mean, say what you want about Shaco, say what you want about, oh, this champion is just, you know, like, say what you want. But being at the right place at the right time, that's good jungling. You can't teach that. You know, champion selection be damned. That is something that comes with practice. And I do mean that very honest. I never thought I'd be the Shaco apologist here, or the apologist for a Shaco one trick. That is not where I saw my life trajectory going. But here we are. And Brooklyn deserve a lot of credit. Because, so, like you said, the entire lead here has been in this mid jungle. Just an absolute canyon developing.
And it's very sad for Pace, I would say, because I don't think they lack potential. They've tried to do as much as they could with what they had at their disposal. But when they went into draft this game, they decided to leave the Shaco and the Karma open. As you said, the main focal points of which made Brooklyn College be ahead.
There goes a cease and desist. A lot of damage in onto Sam, but even more onto Lee Sin. Good night, sweet prince. Where Whelp goes, death, destruction, murder, blood, violence all follow. He is leaving it all in his wake. Rudy flashes away, and all he does is give another 5-minute timer for Brooklyn to work off of. I come back to win, throws a ton of damage onto Whelp, but the clone is going to chase the 80 carry back under his tower. It is Brooklyn's world. We are all just living in it. There's no way the fear goes down. That's exactly what you wanted to avoid. This Shaco, man, I'm running out of words.
Oh, me too, because it's not just about the fact that, of course, you got your clone there to try and bait out at least some of the damage on the arrow coming out from my comeback to win. Unfortunately, it didn't really knock down the damage, so you just decide to escape. But then you lead the clone behind I come back to win. You're going after the Varus just enough so that when it reached tower range, your clone is going to get killed, plus activate that fear you mentioned, and set everything up for a knock-up there from Princeton, and even more damage coming out from Ming to follow up. So the knowledge that Help has on this champion is absolutely insane, and they're executing everything as they designed it to be. And as you said, we're only playing, we're only watching this because they are ruling, they are writing the scripts to what some of this Rift has to be.
Well, here comes Lee Sin trying to make something happen here. CC Chain will go down. Cannon Barrage going down as well. Princeton with the nastiest knockup of all time. Gobbles up Sam, spits him out into safety. That is a disrespectfully large shield. Throws it on himself, and finally a shutdown comes through for Pace after all that. Oh, very nice. Shades of Corruption goes down. The charm not going to land. That feels really bad, but the kill does go over. A shutdown, but it's on your support. Some things go right, some things go wrong for Pace, but they do get a little bit back here, Soph, and crucially might have a shot at this dragon.
Oh my god, okay. Although this was a little bit of a breathing room for Pace, they're trying to get themselves into their second Drake, which is good. At least you don't have to worry about Brooklyn College not only having 6 Void Grubs, but also stacking Drakes. So I would say that's a win, at least temporarily. But one thing that we cannot forget about is Princeton almost successfully saving Sam on that one. So they go in, flash forward with ulti, get a knock-up, eats Sam with 2 HP, straight out of ulti, goes a Solari shield onto Sam alongside Sam's own shield, but unfortunately where they stood was just enough to get the Q back from Ari, and ECAC got the kill. But if they had survived, that would have been MVP for Princeton for me right there.
100%. Yeah, I think at that point, you maybe just call the whole series off because it is not going to get a lot better from there. If that doesn't work, nothing will. Going over the wall, there is Phil showing Lee Sin how this volley bear is played. Going down, lets the CC down. The Sky Splitter comes down and gets even more shielding down. Phil just won't die. Finally, I come back to win. Shows up, dumps a bunch of arrows into Brooklyn College. And now, hang on a second here, Soph. Don't call him dead just yet, Mr. 4x4. They have found 3 kills in this fight, in this skirmish in the top lane.
Things are looking much better now. Pace, especially with that Yomo's unlocked, therefore I come back to win. It makes a huge difference. Now your Varus is going to do a lot of damage, especially compared to what you had in the previous game with the Jinx that needs the 3 items to really feel unlocked. Your piercing arrow is always going to do damage with Varus, especially with this build for lethality. So I think this is a good choice. As you said, there aren't like true tanks on the side of Brooklyn College, and most of them have some shields here and there. But if you can burn this through before the shields get activated, that would be the way to get a team fight in your favor. But still very much away from actually seeing a full-on 4v4, 3v3, like the usual team fight, because they have to be still very cautious at how they approach Brooklyn College, because again, they don't have much vision.
Yeah, and it really does feel like, as well, right, we're seeing a similar script play out, right? It's Qualp and Sam dominate the early and mid game from that mid jungle position, and all of a sudden you're relying on straight up 5v5s and very structured fights for Brooklyn to try to, you know, or for, excuse me, for Pace to try to have a way into this one, and it's just not happening because Brooklyn's not letting them. But a new main character emerging here. It's I Come Back to Win. XZ has been remarkable on this gangplank, been doing very well, got one of the few kills that Pace has, playing this top lane matchup very well as well. But Phil, he doesn't take any sort of disrespect here. XZ not going to get the barrel chain down. Phil playing around this champion very, very well. But Soph, you saw what I Come Back to Win can do when they are left to their own devices. You see the importance of the Pace AD carry that they can have as this game goes on.
Oh, for sure. And we actually have news straight out of the oven that the other semifinals happening at the same time in the main channel, if I'm not mistaken, for Weber State University versus Fisher College is a 2-0 already for Weber State University, meaning that they could be just 1 win away from getting themselves into Grand Finals in a Super Elite. But now coming back to our game as we tune to our channel, I agree with you. There are a couple of things that could be built for Pace, but Brooklyn College just feels so menacing at their stance and their positioning. Oh, okay, it's not in the main channel. I got corrected by production here. I apologize. It's been broadcasted on the Weber's State University Twitch channel, so if you want to tune to that one as well. And as well, coming back to this again is, how do I see Pace coming back from this? To me, feels like Brooklyn College making mistakes, and I don't see them doing that in this match, unfortunately.
No, the bleeding has stalled just a little bit here, right? The bleeding has been stemmed, but we've seen this movie before. We've also seen this movie before, up in the top lane. XZ and Phil just fighting to the death, and that is how the glorious battle ends. Both warriors dying a bloody and valorous death in each other, in a pool of each other's blood in the top lane, where all true battles are fought. Charm doesn't land here onto Whelp. TP coming in. Cease and desist coming down. Canceled by the clone. Fantastic escape by Whelp. The fear goes down. That's the CC chain they might need. Ming ripping arrows, feathers, excuse me, right through everybody on Pace, and the arrows will not matter. Nice feather storm. Double kill over to Ming.
Very close. Oh, doesn't land the charm there. Could get them away. Oh, they pull back the feathers. And it's just very close to being a triple kill there for Ming. And 4x4, Brooklyn College, again, coming out on top. As you would expect, because of the gold lead, because of the map presence, they can do so unfortunately for Pace, they are really relying on XXZ at this point, and we were thinking that maybe I Come Back to Win would be in that position as well. But unfortunately, they are still a Varus. And when you try to do Season 6 plus your Chains of Corruption going in with a charm from ECAC, and everything gets dodged by Hwap's clone, it really feels bad.
Yeah, again, just the second hand tilt I was talking about in game 1. That is really how it comes through here. Herald was secured by XXZ, so look, you got dragon stacking, you've got a way to create more map pressure here, but in reality, this would be just your second tower of the game. The line of scrimmage has moved completely back. All tier 1s taken by Brooklyn College, but the outer tier 1s have been taken in response. I'm going to rip through that Herald real quick. You talked about, Soph, how, look, it's probably going to come down to Brooklyn making mistakes, and we've seen it a couple times. We've seen a little bit of overextension. We've seen maybe a little bit of greed, right? Again, you don't have a true tank. It is not a farming Tahm Kench. And whoa, mama, that is a brutal amount of damage here coming from the Gangplank. 350 gold in the pocket. Thank you very much. And now, Soph, I present to you, how do Pace come back into this one?
Oh, yeah.
Might come, well, it's not going to be like this. Again, where Hwap goes, blood, tears, famine, pestilence, all that good stuff follows. All four. It's Hwap and the four horsemen of the apocalypse. That is what Brooklyn College is. Yes.
The plagues of Egypt and all that jazz.
Yeah, exactly. Locust, blood, firstborn, all that. It's all bad. Yes.
Exactly. Oh, no. And to be fair, when things start looking good because of XZ, it feels so close to a flipping point. Or at least to getting close to a flipping point. Is he still feeling uncomfortable? But there goes the Volibear.
My goodness. That's a lot of healing coming down. Ooh, the Cannon Barrage will not be enough there. Yeah, well,
what
Cannon
a
Barrage
dunk.
was not available, but a very nice dunk there from Phil with the Stormbringer as well. So you're discovering kind of what champions maybe can and can't match this Gangplank in the side lane as we look again towards that. You've got the TP from XXZ. Sometimes you see, oh, hang on a second here. You can kill that. That's just crazy. I was about to pop off, man. Princeton with the MVP play again, saving the carries, and Lee Sin left to the dogs.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. If I'm not mistaken, it was a clone there from Hwap, plus getting eaten by Princeton. What a clutch Tahm Kench that they have been for Brooklyn College. And it was a good call from Pace. They had good vision, they weren't really contested, but then things got a little too shady for them.
And again, we see maybe a bit of a questionable Baron contest. Hwap seems like he was ready for it. The clone does go down. But they pull off the Baron. They wanted everything on that one. So Brooklyn College, they've run these scripted plays before. It worked out for them in game 1 a couple of times, really. But you'd like to think that Pace would learn from their mistakes here. Be a little more cautious when they approach in the future.
Oh, trying to go
in,
but the trap doesn't connect.
Rudy doesn't find it, but the Cannon Barrage does come in and almost kills Sam. Hwap gonna grab the Ahri on the flank. Who's flanking who, Soph? I think that is the real question on that one.
Well, basically at this point, it just feels like Hwap has control over every single part of the map. Hidden, not hidden, dark, fog of war, lit up. Everything is Shaco's. Can do it. Like, once again, look at them right at the fog of war to try to get a flank. We'll see if that's gonna come in. Oh, that's huge.
Phil goes in, big ultimate, leaving it really easy for Ming to let the feathers fly. Sam coming in hot. Mantra Q dunked on by Phil. Everyone getting in on the action here. It is remarkable, quite frankly, that Sam only has 2 kills in this one, so.
Well, that could be redeemed by the 12 assists coming out the back, as that would be essentially over half of the kills that you already have for Brooklyn College, as they're melting this Baron as we speak. Ming on 5, 0, and 6 is definitely going to do the work on this Xayah with the Navoris, the Kraken Slayer, and trying to build into, ooh, okay, going for the bandana.
Okay,
that's what happens when you don't have the true tank you mentioned.
My goodness, just ripping through Princeton like he's made of paper mache. That is wild. XXZ gonna pick up another chunk of gold there. 3 items for him. And again, you see what he can do, potentially in a side lane, potentially in a 1v1. I don't think Phil would agree with me, but against certain champions with certain mistakes that Brooklyn might make. You see XXZ. I bet Whop thinks he's completely safe in his jungle. That is my wager here, so. Oh, hang on a second. Threw the clone out. Made me look like an absolute fool. Knew exactly what he was planning. The shutdown again goes over to Rudy. That is absolutely brutal. You got 2 shutdowns in this game, and they both got to the Alistar. That, ladies and gentlemen, is tough. I come back to win. Gets taken very, very low. Gets jumped on by a big thunderous bear. He's a demigod. It's okay. Stolen by the side of Pace, but that is all they're going to get away with on this one. So more and more kills just come flooding into the pockets of Brooklyn College. Sam finally getting another one. All ECA can do is watch as his teammates are slaughtered around him and the map crumbles to pieces.
Last man standing is the Ari. ECA cannot do anything about this. Going in forward with the W. Have to do that Spirit Rush to get away. And now with the 6 Void Mites. Oh, this is going to burn. And now with 10 seconds, at least just one player back from Respawn is XZ. Now you gotta be careful about your Spirit Rushes as they're just on cooldown. And tier 3 plus inhibitor taken by Brooklyn College, because when they see an opening, they come through, they come barging in, and even if they lose that Drake, it's all good. But one thing I wanted to mention about that specific engage was when XZ was, oh, okay, is it gonna get cancelled? It does, all right. I believe Hope knew that somebody was there just because there was, I don't exactly know the reason behind it, but there was a little like green animation or particle coming out from the blue buff into that bush. So something activated something that made Hope know that there was somebody in that bush. And to be able to read that so fast and go in and still get the kill before they got taken down is very impressive. And to be fair, that's what we would expect given their results in the first match.
Yeah, clearly they know what they're doing, right, on this champion. And again, we talk about, yes, you can be good at the shake-up, but you got to be a good jungler as well to have this kind of an impact. 9, 2, and 9, 67% kill participation. Quick maths for those you keep in score at home. Highest kill participation of literally anybody. Yeah, no one has had a bigger impact on this game than Whalp, and you can, if you have watched this game, you will know that, but the numbers bear it out too, so it is just, again, it seems like death by 1,000 cuts for Brooklyn College here, or death by just a couple of really big punches right to the face. That works too.
Yeah, well, it does. It really, really does. And it's taking them down at every single turn because XZ, as we mentioned, could do things in a 1v1, maybe in the 2v2, but it's not looking bright at this point because Brooklyn College knows how to walk in numbers, how to take advantage of their rotations, and that's what they're doing. Their mid lane is open, so Inhibitor down guarantees the big push with super minions. Now they rotate to the top side. There is Baron in 2.5 minutes, barely, and a TP coming through.
Here comes Phil, and he is angry. It's a 5v4. XXZ not going to be available for another 14 seconds. You see the mantra Qs and a couple of feathers, how much that can do to the side of Pace. No neutral objectives up here, just kind of rotating around. Again, with 2 inhibs down, you're going to get a push here. Looking for a fight there, not going to get it. Brooklyn College rip right through Pace. It takes a little bit to chew through the Alistar and the Vi, but that will be all they get. XXZ was looking for the Giga flank, was looking for the Mondo Roboto flank, but will not get it. Ming frontlining. That is the kind of dominance on display from Brooklyn in Game 2. The 80 carries getting up in your grill, and you know there's nothing you can do about it. 2-0, a dominant win again by Whalp and the 4 more Horsemen of Death.
Oh yeah, led by the Shaco, could be invisible, but it's definitely behind you at every single turn. Pace. Don't let that slide. Don't let that come through. The Karma, the Shaco. You really cannot be allowed, considering what we saw here. First game was a storm, but this one kind of was as well, because it was impossible to get anybody ahead aside from XZ, and they were close. But every single time you get to a mid game, you get to late game, you're not going to be 1v1ing in a top lane anymore. It's not the lonely island that usually it is. You're going to be facing every single other member, including that dangerous Whalp. but we gotta give it to Princeton. Every
Yeah.
single time there was somebody in need, would have a they would get that swallow and absolutely take them into, I don't know, heavens, because that's what inside their stomach, I would say. Every single time they were saved, and it was insane. Insane.
Yeah, really good play all around. Again, just another complete performance by Brooklyn on these champions that you like to think that, again, surely in game 3, pace is not going to let them through. They're staring at 2-0. They're staring at elimination here. We'll see what happens when we come back. We'll get into draft. We'll get into game 3. Brooklyn College on the back of 2 dominant games to start things off in this series. One more game to go. Well, see if Brooklyn have their way or if Pace have a comeback in them. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for being here. I am 4x4. That is Soph Chen. We've got a 2-0 on our hands. Brooklyn College just kind of beating the brakes off of pace in these first two games. Ban Shaco, please. Whops has been unbelievable on his signature champion. Look, oh gosh, no, we're not gonna go there. Pace, look, they've shown some good stuff, right? And I think that's where maybe some of my frustration is starting to come through. That's why, is because you see that Pace actually draft themselves some pretty good compositions, but I don't know if it's hubris, I don't know if it's what, but they're not banning this Shaco because it's not like other lanes haven't been going their way. So aside the jungle, not great, fine. And I'm not even putting that on Lee Sin. I'm putting that exclusively on Whops. The mid lane, once they got Ika in, it's looked a little better. In the top lane and the bottom lane, they've got some things going, do Pace.
They did, especially on that top side with XZ, I think. With the Renekton pick and the second game with the Gangplank pick, it was working. And I think it's a stable that they have in regards to how and where they can rely for early game pressure. Because so far, Brooklyn has been, as you said, just breaking their ankles every single opportunity in the early game. They're taking advantage of that. And Pace can respond with, this is where we feel comfortable, which is having a little more stable top laner. In regards to how they've played the mid to late game is usually on the side of mid and bot. So you had the Ahri, a little more focused in the mid. In the bot lane, you had a Jinx plus a Varus, so also taking a little while to scale some more. They almost got a good point where I Come Back to Win could be dealing those piercing arrows with lethality and taking them down because they didn't have any true tanks in their composition. But still, every single time they were close, too close, that it really hurt them not to be able to take those kills. And again, with that pick with Tom Cage for Princeton clutching it out every single time, made things even more difficult. Now Pace, with a staple of the Kassadin ban towards Sem, looking to see at least the Shaco, maybe Shaco and Karma on this list.
I wouldn't hate it. I would not hate it at all. Yeah, but like there was the Karma hover. We're not gonna touch it just yet. Excuse me. But on the other side, we saw 5 top lane bans 2 games in a row. So clearly they, like us, no dummies are Brooklyn. They know that XXZ is that pivotal carry for Pace, that he can hold his own in a ton of different matchups and banned away literally 10 bans. They are not scared of anyone else, so.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. So we had every single ban so far, with a little difference of one game being a Cassante differing from a Aatrox. We'll see what's going to be the case this time around, because so far the Twisted Fate, plus the Jace has been the same. And they recognize, as you said, that XXZ is the one that's making the biggest difference for Pace. If they can shut it down, then that's good for them, because they rely quite a lot on the early game for the side of Brooklyn. But one thing I have to say is, if we are talking about a player, XXZ, that doesn't have 5 champions on their pool, even 6, even 7 different, right, that they didn't really pick, gosh, this player's pool is gigantic. So they're doing as best as they can.
No, absolutely. No, it is really, really remarkable what XXZ is doing here. And finally, the Shaco banned away here. The Akali going to be hovered here. Again, that could be a solo lane flex, but taking that away from Kusai, which, it should be mentioned, is subbing back in. Ika going into the jungle here. So Lee Sin not going to be playing in this game. And instead, the game 1 mid laner Kusai going to be driven back into the mid lane. And Ika, the game 2 mid laner, going to be up. And usual starting mid laner going to flex themselves into the jungle. Varus hovered here, probably locked in. Again, I liked what I saw from I Come Back to Win in that skirmish on the top side about, what was like 10, 13 minutes into game 2. Liked what I saw from them. Went the lethality build, and I think, again, you're probably going to see that just because that is very effective in the compositions that are run in Season 14. No real tanks. Again, we saw kind of a tanky Zac, a tanky Volibear. Zac was one of the bands that was drubbed up by Pace, but on the other side now, Phil going to at least hover that here as Brooklyn go back to their old ways in like they did in game 1.
I am intrigued, because we were mentioning how the bans have been consistently the same for the side of Brooklyn, aside from just one slot that gets swapped around. They decided to, instead of taking away the Rumble, they took away the Akali. And considering we watched Kusai play in the first game, subbing out for Rika in the mid lane, and they played Vega, it just feels very different to me that the Akali would be a similar style to what Kusai likes to play. I could be mistaken. I don't really have the stats on their previous game, so I couldn't tell. But now looking at their second pick here for Pace, potentially getting the Lulu, which we saw in the first game for Rudy, alongside a Jinx, as it would be more expected. Now with the Varus, it's alright. But maybe something tankier would be better for Pace, because I don't think they have been able to get into team fights. Now, that's what I'm about. They've been lacking a way to get in and substantiate their engage. Now that looks more like it.
Yeah, and if that is what you want to do for Pace, that will that will certainly do it. Again, I still think that, you know, the secret ingredient is going to be just Brooklyn. You know, look, with Whalp and what he was able to do. If this Fiora gets locked in here, it will probably be Zach in the jungle. Although, again, Tentacle, the head coach of Brooklyn, loves the flexible draft, so it could still be this Zach support. We've seen that pop its head up every once in a while. But this Fiora, almost certainly going into the top lane. And there's that Rumble ban. Hang on a second here. Ooh, wait. Why ban Rumble? With on the top lane, maybe Rumble mid, Rumble in the jungle, I guess.
That's very funny. Oh, it might be a case. Yeah, it could be jungle just because of the fact that's ECA now not playing not Lee Sin.
Maybe.
So maybe that was included, but still, I don't. Not my favorite. I would say Rumble fitting more in the top lane at this point. But okay,
especially into the Zach, I feel like that's a better pick. But hey, what do I know?
Yeah, we know just a little bit. The previous game we saw the Seraphine being banned instead of the Shaco, so this time around they're adding to it, having the Kassadin, Karma, Shaco, now plus the Seraphine, so no Uncores to try to shut I Come Back to Win down, so I like that. I'm also denying the recon from Xayah. I like it. We haven't been able to see Xayah with either of those supports. We saw the previous game of Xayah with a Tom Kench, again, Princeton really making a difference on that support. But we know how much it can elevate the Xayah if you have a Rakan, so that's a very safe ban.
See where the rest of it goes here. Again, could go Zach into the support role. It could be Ornn in the support role. Again, that's not something you see all that often, but Ornn is a bit of a flex these days. Lilia, if that is in fact the hover, looks like it's going to be into the jungle. Could go into the top lane. We will see here. Yeah, this one might be interesting here. Okay, Lee Sin. Don't think it's Lane Sin. That I'm pretty confident. It's not going to be Lane Sin. We left that one back in 2021. So Lee Sin in the jungle, Lilia, I guess in the top or mid lane, and then where the hell is this Ornn going?
Yeah, I'm very confused as well. I think it's been how many years did Lulu top?
Yeah, no, she
become a thing. Like it was a while ago. So I don't think if she fits there anymore, especially when you're talking about the support items nowadays and how important it is for the support to actually be in the lane with someone to make advantage of how you can escalate in gold, especially in the early game. Now, Brooklyn finished the draft with a Syndra, I would say. Most easier to decide where things go for Brooklyn, which is funny and counterintuitive considering what we saw from Brooklyn recently. So I would say from bottom to top, so Nautilus with Xayah, Syndra, Zach, and Fiora. At least that to me is a little more clear. But Pace, like, bring some light. I'm
here we go.
in the
Come
fog
on.
of war.
Drum roll. Ornn
mid. There you go.
Okay. Ornn mid into the Syndra. Man, I thought Brooklyn was supposed to be the one with the spicy drafts. Pace.
Yeah.
Throwing all the spaghetti at the wall, hoping something sticks here. They've got their backs against the wall, down 2-0 here, and they're pulling out all the stops. And now, Soph, this is what you said. Actually, the lanes are actually, the names are being switched here, I think. I don't think that's a production bug.
Yes, roles.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me just verify that without production here. But if I'm not mistaken, well, we will see. Hold on. I at least sit up with XXZ, then Ika Jungle Lilia. So it's Lane Sin.
It is Lane
Sin. And the on mid. Okay.
I have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, and all that good stuff. This is gonna, wow, this is spicy. The Lane Sin, man, with the Lilia jungle. But no, giving Ika something in the jungle that he can really work on. Look, you've got to carry in the jungle for the first time here. Lee Sin in the top lane, the Ornn in the mid lane. You just want to survive that lane. I'm at a bit of a loss here. I'm scrambling here, Soph.
Well, so am I. So am I. Oh my god, look at the 5 stack on opposite sides of Summoner's Rift. Very interesting. It could lead into a little bit of vertical jungling from both sides. It would be interesting to see, especially because of how direct of a game plan we saw from Hop and the Shaco. Now this time around on the Zac that was previously played by Phil in that top lane for Brooklyn College. We'll see what's going to be. Oh my god, thank you so much, Samantha, for our observer, for showing us the wider scheme of things. And so far, it's just funny, I would say. Nobody meeting one another. Who is going to leave their ward? There's one in their bush just next to the red buff. So some vision across the Wraith as well.
Oh, XXZ's got to be careful here. Taken very, very low. Could I not going to get anyone with the Searing Charge there, and it will be Phil taken very, very low as to flash away. Kusai will go down. Finally, first blood over to Sam. Doesn't feel too bad because your Ornn was probably going to be playing at some sort of deficit no matter what, but the lead going over here to a mid laner, we know Soph can be deadly with a lead.
Yes, and they played so incredibly well on the Karma, and now having that one extra for the Syndra makes such a big difference. That's going to help you clean out the wave here, have that priority on coming back to base, resetting, getting your TP back. And because of the nature of Syndra, you can clear out the wave very effectively, even in the level 1, level 2 stages. This is going to be something that Sam takes advantage of for sure. Now, all of the TP is wasted on the side of Pace. Lee Sin as well had to come back. Very, very interesting, actually. I didn't quite notice why they got the TP back on that one. Did they lose a trade?
Yeah, no, I guess, yeah, just taken quickly out of the fights and not wanting to lose any CS as a result. And for XXZ, fair enough, it worked. But for Phil, yeah, no, I mean, had to flash away, right? Almost went down there, and I actually thought it was going to be Phil going down initially. Phil actually taking the parry here, the counter strike. Well, going in with the stretching strikes, and Lane Sin goes down. Phil with kill number 2 on the day for Brooklyn.
Oh, looking good and looking very similar to what we saw in the previous 2 games of the series. Yep. Now Brooklyn College starting out their potential final game of the best of 5 in a very strong stance. Looking at ECAC with a different rotation this time around, much more aggressive, looking for a dive.
Looking for a potential dive there. The bowling ball goes just wide. Princeton not going to get hit by it. Gets the shield down from the W. Flashing away. Ming with the flash. No, this is all going disastrously. Ming getting a couple kills. Oh.
No way! Oh my god, this is a curse for Pace University, because all of this series has been I come back to win, almost taking somebody down on the Varus, on the Jinx, now on the Varus again, and not being able to survive afterwards, and not even guaranteeing the kill. We are 3 minutes in the game, shy of 4, and we have 5 kills on the board for Brooklyn College, 2 of them, and 1 assist allocated on the ADC main.
This is what you call a rough one. Nothing going right for Pace today. Like you said, so all series long, even when things have been dire, it has been this. It has been, I come back to win, almost bringing the game back for their team. And XXZ doing the most up in the top lane, even down a kill, still up 10 CS here. Sam bullying Kasai, his game one lane opponent, out of this lane. And Phil trying to do the same here. But XXZ, again, showing their prowess here. Look, this game's not over just yet. But this is an absolute disaster start for Pace. Brooklyn College in a world of hurt, Pace in a world of hurt. Brooklyn College laying down the hurt, putting the flash out of Rudy. I come back to win, trying to get the damage down, maybe get one more piercing arrow down and pop the blight stacks, but Rudy goes back into the fight, and it's not long for this world. Run, little Yordle, one more tower shot will do it. The Ignite comes down to help out Rudy, as you planned, so.
Oh, that was good. All right, so a little bit of an overextension from Princeton. Looking so incredibly defensive in the previous games. Now this time around, because of being the Nautilus, the nature of the champion, wanting to go in, get those engages, call them this first one in the bot side. But if they had Ignite, that would have been a different story. But when you go in like that, you should know if you have an Ignite or not. So they were just shy of some damage. Usually what we see from Pace now befalling over Brooklyn College as well. Ooh, look at that. It's going to get cancelled. The arrows come in. And the feathers are going to rain it down. Ming on 3-0-1.
3 kills for Ming, 3 kills for this Zaya on a noon quiver, and sitting on what I'd imagine is about 800 gold. That's what I'm going to guess. Production, let me know what I get if I'm right. 1,000. Dang it. Underestimated it. Well, that's tough. So I guess nothing. I get a lesson in mathematics, maybe. But so, this is really, really tough. Oh, hang on a second to call the Forge God. Fantastic scatter of the week. Sam read him like a piano, didn't let him get the R2 off, and survives the all-in attempt.
Oh my word, following now all those lines, the musical notes making a beautiful melody of escape, because Sam, I think everything for Brooklyn College has been clutch after clutch and people surviving with 1 HP after 1 HP, and sometimes it is because Pace has overestimated the damage that they could deal in certain stages of the game, yes, but all the times just out of great quality of escapes, especially because even if something were to happen more, Princeton was there. That was a dredge line, that was a Nautilus in the mid lane to get a good rotation. And considering things are not that easy from this bot lane, we know that I come back to win can get those. Oh, wait!
Rudy gets rooted up. Fantastic Featherstorm here, flashing in. Blooming blows. Watch out! Eep, says Lilia. Gets the damage down. Princeton taken low. And one more auto will do it. Who else? But I come back to win, trying to lead his team to a comeback victory after a disaster start. 3 kills for the Pace ADC.
Oh yeah, and as I was saying, sometimes it comes back to I come back to win, and because of this Lulu, when you have a Pix on you, if you are just shy of taking somebody down, the Pix will give you a helping hand. So that is very much useful, even if you're not going for the type of Jinx kind of build with attack speed. You're still looking at potentially a Blade of the Rune King now for Varus instead of the usual lethality we saw in the previous game.
Yeah, it's what it's looking like based on the components, like you're saying, Soph. Yeah, and with the Zac on the other side, right, that feels fine enough, right? But, you know, I guess we'll see. Sam taking low here, Kunsai. Very nicely done with all the CC. The Unleashed Power not going to find its mark. And finally, Brooklyn getting a taste of their own medicine with a alarmingly low health bar here on Kasai. On the other side, Dragon being started up and in all likelihood taken down without much of a fuss here from BC.
Oh yeah, but still I think Pace is in a much better place at the moment with 3 of those 4 kills lying on the hands of I Come Back to Win. That makes a huge difference. We saw them having a hard coming back from deficit, but it might be time around.
The Grand Challenge already went out from Phil. XXE just going to take the 1 tower shot. It's got Ika waiting in the wings potentially. 1 lands. And now, who start the fight? I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me. Lilting Lullaby goes down. Repose goes out. Cleanses it beautifully. Phil, knowing this champion very, very well, but XXE is going to get a kill back. It is a top laner versus the jungle. It's the Lee Sin versus the Zac. over the wall with the ward hop. 2 levels down. Whalp cares not. Sam coming up to help. He's got backup. XXZ just trying to clear this wave just a little bit. Buy some time potentially. Knows he's not long for this world. Fair enough. GG's, he says. I'll get you next time.
Yeah, that's what they do. And we could see a lane swap coming here early just because of this rotation. Sam is still looking to come back here. Maybe collapse alongside Whalp onto Kusai in this game. But maybe we are looking at a team that feels much more comfortable with this roster assignment.
Well, there's certainly seen more signs of life here in the early game from Pace. Absolutely.
Ooh, max range.
Yeah, max range scatter of the week there. Not going for the all in there, Unleash Power. Not, well, actually, no, it is back up on cooldown, so maybe could have gone for it, but not going to opt for it. Instead, just really, yeah, just enjoying that 50 CS lead there by Sam.
Yeah. Gosh, I was just going to mention 404 because although it feels like Pace have found a better place, oh, nice engage.
Kunsai goes in, Unleash Power onto Sam. We've seen this movie before, and I come back to win. Gets a kill in the bottom lane, make it 2. Ming returns 1. Gets a huge shutdown. That is not insignificant there. Equalizes, but on a bigger amount of gold here. These AD carries, so trading back and forth.
Oh yeah, now that's looking much better for Pace because how greatly they struggled with being behind, and now they're keeping themselves very close in score. We have those void grabs that were finished off before for Brooklyn College. 3 of them, it could be 3 of them confirmed for Pace right now. So denying that 4, 5, 6 stack. Whalp could try to steal this one. Goes in, does do so. So that is nice.
Whalp gets the stretching strikes out, smashes 2 together. Very nicely done. Whalp not on the Shaco, but still a force to be reckoned with on the Zac now. Has the flash. Flash code over. Sam goes over with the flash as well. Does have the scout of the week. Max range again. Doesn't have the unleashed power, but Phil will take it himself. Over the wall he goes. Gets the kill onto the Ornn. 3-0-2. Soph, come on. They got to stop doing this. The script, it's too obvious.
It should be
3-0-2 again. 3-0-2. 3 games in a row for Whalp.
Yeah. And you can't even blame it on the Shaco again because maybe it's Shaco PTSD, not because they are playing Shaco now, just because they faced the Shaco 2 times in a row. Maybe that's, I don't know, gotten into that mental. But to be fair, who wouldn't be affected by it? Now there's a fog of war showing us that Rudy could try and do something. They were just spotted, so nice vision there by Princeton. One thing I was going to mention is, oh my word!
One more auto might do it here. I come back to win, just has to get in range. Not going to follow up with the flash, doesn't have it. But just slows down onto Princeton from the Blade of the Ruin King. It might be enough. Couple more autos. The taking damage. The piercing arrow won't be enough. Beautiful shield gets down from Princeton. It will not be enough. That locket of the Iron Solari saved their behinds.
And basically, although I didn't get to finish because Pace is cutting myself short, I would say that Brooklyn College was coming out on top because of those rotations, and Pace showed exactly that. They got a good rotation with ECAC alongside Rudy. When they get that going, things really connect because they have a lovely team fight position. So they have to utilize it. They're doing well in trying to shut down Sam, and it's working.
They've run this play about 1,000 times. It's ECAC, it's Kusai with the combo, and the scatter, or the unleashed power comes out at the last second, trying their hardest, but it is never enough. Well, coming in here, gets the stretching strikes down, picking up his blobs, getting a lot of healing down here. Lilting Lullaby will go down, but it will not be enough. The Lilia is executed before they can fall asleep, and she can take their prey in their slumber. Whalp still alive. Depth charge goes out. Beautiful stretching strikes down, and Ming shows up and carves them to pieces. 5 kills for the Xayah. Gonna be 6 maybe, but it'll be the 15th kill of the game for BC no matter how they get it. Double for the Xayah.
And that is 4 men down on the side of Pace. Only I come back to win standing, trying to get their CS in the bot side and compensate the amount, huge amount, that said the Kusai has fallen behind in CS because of course, a dominant performance that a Syndra can have in the early levels. By herself. But by herself, that's just how she dies as well with ECAC and the Ornn combo. So they're utilizing what they can at the moment. Yep. If they can get Icon back to win into a nice position in a team fight, they have ways to defend it. You could have the Lee Sin using their ulti to push people away instead of pushing people in. You have the Owen Horn into a snoozing fest, and you have Wild Growth with Rudy. So there's plenty of options to try and defend your Varus. And because you're not just relying on the cooldown of your piercing arrow with the lethality build, you're going for more of that attack speed, Blade of the Rune King. You need to have your positioning and your spacing down to a T, or else every false step could mean you're doomed.
Ward hopping out of trouble is XXZ on the business end of the stretching strikes, but not going to find his mark. In with the swirl seed. Wei says, or Whelp says, thank you very much here. I'm going to go in. Grand challenge pop by XXZ. Going to ward hop over to Kursai, but Sam comes in, gets the scatter the weak down. The CC chain coming in, and Whelp staying alive. Gets the less bounce into the back line, and again, by the slimmest of margins. Pace not able to take anyone in the team fight. And so this is how BC pull ahead. We've seen it 2 games in a row.
4-0-6. Whelp now on the Zac. These are stats for a Shaker that's ahead. Not a Zac. Not a Zac in the jungle. And you have 10 kill participation out of 17. All the other kills very well executed by your players, even when you're not around. And I cannot fathom just how much healing this Zac is doing, because they almost die every single time, but they don't manage to take him down. And to be fair, there's not even Princeton to save them this time. It's solely on the healing that Zac has on its kit. So it's important to do some cut healing, at least somewhere. I think the Lilia could go for, so you have the Leandris, you could go for, oh gosh, what's...
Oblivion or Morello's.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to go for the Oblivion Orb. You don't even need to finish the Morello's exactly at this point, but you can just rush the Oblivion Orb, and it could help massively because they're just healing so incredibly much. You've got to try to stop it.
Yeah, and with Phil as well, right? Fiora gets a decent amount of healing through her kit. Now, what is interesting here is you see Whelp, with the lead that he's built up, he's got a 10-stack Dark Seal, right? The Leandries is coming in as well. This is not a tank Zac, right? He's going to be beefy, and I think he'll probably finish up that Sunfire Cape eventually. But this is Zac that I think maybe just wants to kill you before anything happens. And there's so much damage coming through here from the side of BC. They're just going to they're just going to try to 100-0 you here. And look, the fact of the matter is, yes, Sam has been killed more than anybody, actually, as much as Princeton. We talked about how they've been bullied pretty much this whole game, but playing against an Ornn in this matchup, Sam just... look, Kasai took a noble assignment, the Ornn into the mid lane, but he's getting dumpstered.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that they could do, was try to defend at least the tier 1 that got taken down at this point, of course, for reaching almost the 18-minute mark. But they did what they could. When they got the opportunity to take the kill on Sam with an ECAC gank, then yes, they were doing that pretty well. But of course, the amount of lead that Sam can build, being in a head matchup, in a more favorable matchup in the early game, we know that they can do it.
Yep. And still been having an effect. Chains of Corruption did go wide here. Oh no, XXZ going for the Giga Flank. Not going to find its mark. Does get the kick there onto Ming, but it will not matter. Says, all right, you've kicked me back into safety. Thank you very much. I'm going to rip through you from the backline. Meanwhile, Kasai gets a revenge kill there onto Sam again, but Phil returning the kill, returning the favor. Grand challenge in onto I cannot, in fact, come back to win. The shutdown comes in, but the double make it the triple kill for Phil, and this is where they pull away. So always at around 15 minutes, oh, the goal lead's not that bad. Oh, it's only 2,000 or 3,000. Brooklyn, they're not out of the woods just yet, and then they break it open with a huge team fight.
They do it. There are no fences to defend this because Brooklyn College just breaks it down. And I think one thing that we didn't mention was Phil on this Fiora, secretly but steadily getting kills. Now on 10 kill participation, just half of what we have on the board for the side of Brooklyn College. The amount of damage she's dealing, when she gets into a backline, it's game over for the Varus. You can't really do anything about it. Are they going to commit to take the tier 2? And they are. They might even escape, flashing over the wall. Could have it. They have the movement speed here in the jungle. I think they're just about safe for Y4. But on top of that, I was mentioning Cut Healing, and I was thinking only of Zach. And then I thought of Fiora. You need to have Cut Healing in your squad.
Yeah, you got to do something here, right? I mean, and that Oblivion Orb, right? You can get so many, right? With the Dream Dust, you can hit so many people with that heal cut. Like you said, 800 gold seems like a worthwhile investment to try to get back into this one. Extend it to a game 4, extend it to a game 5. Let's see here. Look, they've got a long way to go. 5,000 gold ahead are Brooklyn College. And now, so unlike in games 1 and 2, here, it's Brooklyn College in control of all the neutral objectives. The Void Grubs have always been theirs, but they didn't get that 5th break point. But the objective bounties have come up here. Second tower of the game does go over to Pace. But for the first time in this series, so the dragon stacking is going the way of BC as well.
Yeah, and that's something that we didn't take into account in the previous games, as you said, 4x4. And they still managed to get a very dominant win. Now that they are stacking on both of the neutral objectives, I don't know, it gets me even more worried for Pace. And once again, they don't have control over their jungle. They don't have vision.
They have absolutely no hope. I Come Back to Win is getting run down here. Got a little bit of damage down, but the Zac just jumps on him and makes him pay. Lots of damage coming down, but Ming playing on the edge. Shut down finally by the Lilia. Here comes the Call of the Forge God. Sneaky TP here by Kasai. Gets the stun down. Sam not able to do it. Gets the Unleashed Power down. Finally, the damage is ripped through because Phil is completely healthy. No heal cut. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what happens. And when the Syndra comes in with Unleashed Power and those stacks coming through, well, your team is going to be obliterated. That was an unofficial ace because Rudy was just down in a different timer, but it was basically an unofficial ace, guaranteeing not just the tier 3, the tier 2, also the tier 3 could even try to go for the inhibitor, but that would be over. Committing, overexposing, overreaching, and they know better. So with 7,500 gold ahead, this is, funnily enough, even more dominant than what we saw in the previous games on a flip mode.
Yeah. No, it's looking really, really dominant right now. And the Rift Herald is going to go down. My goodness, it's just one thing after another with BC. They're just ripping so many things through here. I want to point out one thing. I do, playing respectfully here is... Wait, hang on a second. No, forget the QSS. We've got a Spear of Shojin on Huao.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. That's okay. That's damage. That's a lot of damage.
We got a bruiser item on this Zac here.
Yeah. Okay.
Just a lot of CDR, I guess, is what you're really going for here. Phil, oh goodness.
Essentially.
The Fiora has found the tank. Oh, jeez,
Ah, that's nasty, Phil. That's nasty. Time to ride the Herald soon, I would say. While the rest of the team is just looking to get a good view onto the Baron. Oh, good God. It's just nasty. Oh, look at this Fiora in the side lanes. It's absolutely immoral.
No, it's just demonic is what's happening here. Riposte goes out. Blade of the Ruined King slow coming in from I Come Back to Win. And Phil says, all right, fine. Watch this. I'll just get the execute. Although I don't think they're going to get the execute here, actually. They've got to be a little careful here. But waste his time 2024. That is what's happening here as the Baron is taken. 1,000 gold shutdown. Not for nothing. Onto this Varus. That is half an item right there. So, but the Baron does go the way of BC. And again, it just feels like, it just feels inevitable.
It does. And although, as you mentioned, like the 1,000 gold is very valuable for Come Back to Win, especially because they've already finished that Terminus. When they come back to base, that's going to mean half another item, as you mentioned. So that's Brooklyn College with 3 Drakes, potentially another one in a minute if they can win a fight, and the Baron to try and push in a wave. I don't know, it feels incredibly hard at this point. We're getting into the 9,000 gold mark that BC has built ahead of pace. Again, it would require so many mistakes from Brooklyn College that I just don't think is going to happen.
No, that's kind of the...
Oh, God.
Jeez. All right, Sam, Sam's back. He's feeling good. The KDA is finally positive. Yeah, they're doing just fine here. So, Phil, oh my God, we've seen this movie before. Speaking of a bunch of things that we have seen before, Riposte goes out. Jeez Louise!
That's what I mean.
An Ord is not supposed to disappear that quickly.
No, he's melting. He's melting smooth like butter. Oh, that's not the way.
Nope. Ika going in, getting a little lullaby out, gets the flash there out of Sam, and the shutdown comes in from I Come Back to win. But Whelp, as always, will live. Did die twice, not for nothing. I was getting ready for that 25 stack Medjais to come in, but oh my goodness. But they've got bigger problems to worry about than a 25 stack Medjai Zach, which is saying something here. That might not be your biggest problem. Whelp in the game he's been having, the series he's been having. Ming getting chased out of the base here. Couple more autos going down. The Featherstorm goes out, and the Root Caller comes back. Fantastic work by Ming, but will not be enough. It looked cool, but the base will stand to fight another day, at least for now.
It was stylish. It was very stylish. It just bought in some time for the rest of the team to try and clear out waves. Well, Ika is doing some damage. To be very fair, I would have loved to see the Oblivion Orb. It would help massively on all ends. Now, there's a TP to escape, if I'm not mistaken. No, a TP to go in from Sam. That's an interesting position.
Yeah, Phil goes in here. Princeton able to get the ult down, the depth charge, and now looking for the flank is XXZ. The Call of the Forge God not going to land on anybody. Q1 lands. Parried. Very nicely done by Phil. And is going to dodge the Searing Charge with the flash. Now you see him. Now you don't.
Oh, yeah, like a magic trick. And they're pulling a victory out of the hat. Oh, that's a double TP immediately. Oh, my God, it's Phil.
Phil wants to go home. He would like this series to be over at any cost. Riposte the chains of corruption. But the shutdown comes in with the piercing arrow. Dragon Soul will go over to the side of Brooklyn College here. Finally, they have claimed the Cloud Soul after a couple Barons. 2 inhibs. No, is that 3 inhibs down now? Yeah, they are bearing down here. So just a matter of dotting some I's and crossing some T's. Brooklyn College on the verge of a 3-0 sweep over their East River rivals.
Well, and speaking of 3-0 sweeps, we had Weber State University 3-0ing Fisher College in the next neighborhood semifinals. So whoever wins this, if it is Brooklyn College in this very game of our best of 5, then they would be facing Weber State University in the grand finals of ECAC Super Elite League of Legends. See what's going to be the next steps as Space very gradually trying to clear out the base of full 3 inhibitor down super minions. Whenever BC comes in, it could be the end.
Yeah, it seems like just a matter of time here. Again, 3 naked lanes here. The inhibitors are in tatters. With, yeah, they say that the super minion push can be almost as good as 1 champion sometimes here. But, let's see here. Phil going over the wall, taking a creative angle in, gets rooted, but the shutdown does come in. With the 80 carry down, it's just a matter of time. Call the Forge God goes out. Not going to find anyone substantial. It's a double kill for Phil. Stretching strikes coming in. It's Bruiser, Tank, Assassin, Zach. It's Whelp with a dominant performance in games 1 and 2. You take him off the Shaco, but you can't take the carry out of this man. Brooklyn College 3-0. 3 dominant wins over Pace to send them through to the Super Elite Finals.
Oh, what a dominant performance to get them to grand finals. I will say, coming out from those 2 Shaco games, I thought when they get Shaco out of the table, this could mean some hope for Pace. They do get it on the bans, but the Zac, although it was played in the top lane for the 2 games, one on one side, one on the other side, the Zac jungle for Whelp showed that it wasn't just Shaco doing its wonders in the early game. It was also the player. It was mostly the player piloting that champion. And it made such a huge difference. Now we have, not on screen, but I can tell it to you guys because this is unbelievable. The damage charts getting Whelp on the Zac, again, jungle, on the 58,000 damage, where the enemy team had their top damage on 22. Oh, healing. Okay, excuse me. Healing. That's healing. Healing done. Excuse me. Sorry.
But that goes to your point. You
baited
were calling for an Oblivion Orb for like the entire game.
It's true. It's true. Sorry. I was so dry coming out to thinking it was damage because the Zac was doing so much. If we do have the damage shot, that would be amazing to see. But if we don't, that's fine. But yeah, 58,000 healed and the 16,000 healed for the Fiora. So again, Execution is calling, the Oblivion Orb, 800 gold. Can you spare some 800 gold? I think you could. Especially when you had that virus going for the more of attack speed build instead of lethality. The more you hit, the more you're cut healing, the more you're keeping that cut healing there. And you have your piercing arrow to apply to many people alongside the rolling orb on Lilia. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, well, we won't see actually, but yeah, thank you for giving us all those numbers. That is absolutely ridiculous. Again, just with 50k, like you get 40% reduced healing. That is a lot less. You would like, I still think Pace wins this, Brooklyn wins this, but we'll see. We're gonna take it to a quick break. When we come back, we should have an interview with Tentacle himself, the coach of the victorious Brooklyn Bulldogs. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for being here. Wrapping up tonight on a Friday night with a victory for Brooklyn College of the 3-0 variety. 4x4 and Soph-Chan have a special surprise for you. We've got an interview with Tentacle, the head coach of Brooklyn College, victorious today. Tentacle, thank you for being here. Congrats on the win. Welcome to the broadcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and for obviously casting that match. It's always a fun time playing Pace. Happy we got the clean 3-0 and that we're moving on to finals. And yeah.
So I've got a kind of a more serious question on a coaching note. This is I think I'm part of the reason I'm asking this because I'm curious. I mean, with a series like this, like you said, you've got a lot of history between you guys and Pace, and this is a 3-0 and pretty dominant in all three games, right? Kind of a 2K gold lead until about the 15-minute mark, and then you just blow it open kind of repeatedly. What are you taking away as far as like kind of teachable points here from when you dominate your opponents in a similar way, 3 wins in a row? What do you take back to the boys and say, okay, let's do this, this, and this? Or do you just say, hey, great job, freaking back at it next week?
Yeah, no, I mean, we definitely have a lot of, well done, good execution, a lot of praise for them. But, we still have moments where we were exploited a little bit, kind of some bait that we fell for. And I'll be honest, it's stuff we've worked on. Just to point it out, there was the one Baron fight. I can't remember if it was game 1 or game 2, where they forced this fight. It's not something that has to happen quickly, and we get caught anyway, and it extends the game an extra couple minutes. That's the kind of stuff that when we're playing the teams that are a bit more prepared for how we play and our style, where we end up falling behind and even throwing leads. It's happened. We did it against Columbia College in CLOL, so that's the kind of stuff that I want to make sure we're still cleaning up, that we're still working on. But that being said, the guys are doing it. They're putting the time in. Scrims are paying off. No time off. All time put into league and making sure they're improving. So yeah.
Well, and it really shows because this was such a dominant series. And to be fair, what I wanted to ask you for this first question, of course, thank you so much for being here. Nice to see you again. And yes. I would say is you guys came into the first match thinking of a Shaco. Did you guys expect for the Shaco to be available for the next match? Because you changed up a couple of things. You denied, if I'm not mistaken, the Zac or the Volibear or something like that. So how did you guys adapt to it? Were you a little skeptical? Like, is this going to work again because they let it through?
Yeah, so I mean, it's no secret that we've been really strong with the Zac pick. It is something we can flex pretty consistently. Didn't really have to flex it a ton tonight. I'll be honest, we were not expecting Shaco to get through. That is not something we ever expect to get through for the reasons that you see. But to be fair, Pace have thrown a lot at us, and that's a target band that they haven't really tried to crack, and I think that was their adaptation tonight. They really felt like, they've targeted the Kassadin, let that through, didn't really work out. They've let the Fiora through, it doesn't really work out. So tonight they were like, let's take stuff away. Let's take more support picks away from Princeton, and see if the Shaco is something we can play around. And it's just not. I mean, teams that let the Shaco through, they've found out the hard way that Walt, my jungler, is one of the best in the country, if not the world, on that champion. And if you let him have it, he'll run all over you. We play that comp well, regardless of whether or not we've practiced it in the last few weeks or not.
Yeah, and you kind of saw that, and I was making the point on the broadcast after like a game and a half. I was like, look, say what you want about the Shaco. It's a cheese pick. It does X, Y, Z. But like, look, it's known as being like a low elo stomper. At this high of elo, yeah, it's the champ, but it's the jungler as well. And no play exemplified that better to when like in game 2 when ZZX or XXZ was playing the Gangplank, he was hiding in the bush, and I was like, man, Whalps has no idea here. He's going to get a barrel chain on him. And then he clones over the wall and just ignites him and just one-taps him. He did go down as a result because XXZ had good reaction time. But I was like, damn, that kind of sealed it for me of like, no, this dude's just a good jungler. He's not just a good Shaco player, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'll say that when I first started working with Walt, he was just a good Shaco. He had other stuff he could play. Okay. But no, I joke, but his acumen on his jungle champ pool has come such a long way over the last 18 months. He almost looks like a completely different player, and I genuinely think that, if given opportunities to go even further with, NACL and stuff like that, I think there's a lot of teams that should look at him because he's insane right now. I mean, he can play anything. I put him on stuff he has one game on and he runs away with the game. You know, he's our not secret weapon. He's our very very obvious weapon, and it's hard for teams to ban against him. It's hard for teams to play against him. It really just comes down to, you know, his consistency, and this year especially, he's been extraordinarily consistent. So it's been a huge point of success for us, and it really invigorates the rest of his team, you know, to clean up their mistakes, and showcase to them what they need to do. Because if he's, you know, the Rock, then, you know, their flaws stand out a little bit more. But they've, as a result, gotten so much better playing around him, and so the whole team is just on fire right now. But again, you know, given the Shaco, we're always going to run away with it.
Well, and that happened twice today. You didn't think it was going to, but it did. And I agree with 4x4. It's a matter of looking at how they did on the Zac and noticing, yeah, it's not just the Shaco, it's how the player was doing. So I wanted to ask about, considering the grand finals already locked in, going to play against Weeba. They also got a 3-0 today in the semifinals against Fisher. So what are the preparations? What are the expectations? Tell me a little bit about this.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. So the last time we played Weber, we weren't nearly as flexible as we are now. You know, using some of this stuff, but we hadn't mastered these comps. We weren't as prepared to flex it for, you know, different directions. And we were really kind of a lot more linear in our play. So I think we're a lot more prepared on that front. You know, I will say they're a scary team. They are a genuinely scary team. Them coming away with a 3-0 against that Fisher roster is notable. It isn't lost on us. We had a strong feeling that this was going to be the result. Of course, you know, we didn't set our eyes past pace, but we had a good feeling that once we made it to where we're at right now, we were going to be, you know, looking down the barrel of Weber. So we've got a lot. I can't share too much, but, you know, we've had stuff we've been practicing. I also want to shout out my mid laner, Sam, because his... you know, his consistency, I gave him an award for most improved player not too long ago. His ability to, you know, clean up his shot calling and make plays and just everything he's been doing has been so huge for the team. You know, and he, at one point he was our least consistent player. Now he's becoming rapidly, next to Whalp, our most consistent player. And I think that that's a big change that Weber aren't necessarily going to be ready for. I think that when my solo laners are playing respectfully, they're two of the best in the game. And then you pair that with Whalp and Ming, who have been phenomenally consistent throughout the semester. And of course, cannot forget Princeton and Buffing, who didn't play today. Our, you know, multi-season challenger support, who also plays for this squad for ECAC. You know, this team is ready to go. They're ready to go. We've got a lot of practice ahead. We've got scrims planned with some, you know, top 16, top 32 C-Lol teams, or what we expect to be. And we're really trying to push, you know, the pace, for lack of a better term, lack of a better pun, and make something happen against this Weber roster in finals.
We're looking forward to that. Tentacle, thank you so much for being here. Actually, I got one more question for you. The Shojin on Zac. What was that?
So, let's put it this way. Phil likes to make jokes in the middle of the game, and, you know, about builds and stuff like that. And maybe or maybe not, you know, Whalp, he likes the jokes, so he plays along with it to arguably sometimes a penalizing degree. But it worked out, I guess, so, you know, it was fine.
Yeah.
No, I like, sometimes Phil says some stuff, and it's not clear that he's joking, and it only comes out after the item has been bought. And yeah, that's just, they have fun. All right. That's the other thing about us. We have fun. We have a lot of fun playing. So yeah, so a little bit of griefing, a little bit of soft griefing, but it worked out. And yeah, and thank you guys again. You guys were phenomenal cast, for what I got to listen when I wasn't, you know, zoned in on my players.
Doing coaching things.
But yes, doing coaching things. But again, always a pleasure being cast here, and you guys are phenomenal. So thank you.
Thank you, Tentacle.
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that. Yeah, again, congratulations on the 3-0. Best of luck in finals. I'll be watching. I'll be keeping up with you guys. Again, thank you for your time. Congratulations, and have a great rest of your night.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Thank you to Tentacle for a very entertaining and enlightening interview. Soph, thank you for being a wonderful co-caster as always. Thank you to Leighton. Thank you for Samantha, our producer and observer, respectively, on this fine Friday night. For everyone I've mentioned, I've been 4x4. Thank you for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed. Again, the Super Elite Finals are set up. Brooklyn College and Weber State, both 3-0ing their semifinals over, I can do this, Pace and Fisher, respectively. There we go. I was trying to do the whole thing in one run-on sentence. I've been struggling with that since English class.
job.
Just ask my any teacher I've ever had. Brevity is not my strong suit, but we hope you enjoyed the cast. Nonetheless, thank you guys for being here. We've got the finals for League of Legends are going to be next week, and quarterfinals for all their esports on the esports on the Twitch channel. So tune in then. Thank you for being here. Have a great rest of your Friday night.